We've got ignition. 1. We've got RIP takeoff. Welcome to a Sunday live edition of the Self-Love Show, Lessons Not Lectures. Today, we're exploring commercial realty and development opportunities with the law offices of Eric L. Nesbit. Very accomplished attorney is in the building, also entrepreneur. Please take this time to like, share, subscribe, post this on all social media. This is quality, uncut content, and we're here to build a nation. Let's get it.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
We are live. Please like, share, subscribe. The Self-Love Show will be starting in 5 minutes. Our guest will be in shortly.
Call this shit no block. It's 10 o'clock. Where the fuck y'all niggas at? This what y'all wanted me in Chicago? No block right here. I should call this shit no block. It's 10 o'clock. Where the fuck y'all niggas at? Niggas ain't outside. It's only 10 p.m. Where the fuck y'all niggas at, blood?
O Block right now. Where we at? Tell you something, man. This Nino Brown, man. I'm live on O Block right now. Where we at? This O Block. I'm from Miami. I just want to tell niggas, man, we got to stop killing each other, man. Yeah, this shit ain't about nothing. All that killing shit, we gotta work together, man. Stop killing each other, my nigga. I had to come over here and tell niggas that shit, my nigga.
I'm right here. See where I'm at. I'm out here. Black Star Line cigars. For grown man. On some grown man stuff. And to the PDs, stop doing that killing. Please, stop doing that killing. Please like, share, and subscribe. Show starting shortly. Let's get this message out here. Very positive content. We build our nation. In entering upon this course of instruction, each of you should, so far as possible, lay aside for the time being all previous theories and beliefs. By so doing, you will be saved the trouble of trying all the way through the show to put, quote, new wine into old wineskins, end quote. Luke chapter 5, verse 37. If there's anything as we proceed which you don't understand or agree with, just let it lie passively in your mind until you have enjoyed the entire show. For many statements that would at first arouse antagonism and discussion will be clear and easily accepted a little farther on. After the show is over, if you wish to return to your old beliefs and ways of living, you are at perfect liberty to do so. But for the time being, be willing to become as a little child, for said the Master in spiritual things, quote, except ye become as little children, ye shall in no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven, end quote. Matthew chapter 18, verse 3. If at times there seems to be repetition, please remember, the Self-Love Show is a lesson, not a lecture.
instance, if I could be a service to a 9-year-old girl or a 19-year-old woman or girl who wants to be a woman, is to really remember that self-love is the best way that you can receive love from anybody else, because it's coming from you. A lot of times we forget that. We look externally for this love. We look externally for this feeling of validation and adoration and approval, and it has to come from within.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Shh, stop all that talking. Snitching on yourself. I'm just a kid from Chicago. Chi-Town kids are back and in the building. Welcome to another edition of Chi-Town's very own, the Self-Love Show, where we got two mottos. Motto number one, it's going to be on earth as it is in heaven. All praise be to the ancestors, my beloved Mama Sky, and most definitely to the Most High. Motto number two is as above, so below. Right now, we can only be found, Malcolm, exclusively right here on this YouTube channel. On earth as it is in heaven. All praise for the Ain't That Network. And as we say, TATN. This Ain't That Network. This is one of the co-hosts, 9 Mills, also known as Self. What down, Chi-Town. What down, YouTube. Repeat after he. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. Third time's for the charm. I am greater than my excuse. Self-love, vision. As always, we like to acknowledge that you individuals can be any place in this magnanimous universe and at any time. But thankfully, we all Scooter chose to be here together. Here together. What down, brother Wordsmith? What you manifesting today?
Button don't want to unmute out there. No, me, brother. Love, and love. You vibrate.
Ditto, good brother. Pure, unfiltered, unfettered, magnificent. Some say tough, others say harsh. But as you know, it's always love, bro.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so what's been going on in your neck of the shot since we last connoitered?
Well, I just got back from Zion, Illinois, the Illinois Beach Resort. A fabulous event by Tucci.
Yeah, Brother Newman, I saw he was there and, with his lovely wife. It's right on the
Yes.
lake. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it was very nice, bro.
So Zion, huh? Did you see Lauren Hill or anybody from the Matrix out there?
Something like the Matrix. You know, Zion is a melanated town.
Yeah, that's the future of the world. That's going to be the future of the world. Hold up, having some.
Yeah, I heard some clicking or something.
Yeah, hold on, do your thing.
Welcome to the Self-Love Show, where today we're going to explore commercial realty and development opportunities with our good brother, Eric Nesbit. It's going to be a great thing. As always, we have a very important video for you to check out. Moor Growth and Development, the Silverback Moor Growth and Development.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But definitely what to expect today. As always, lessons, not lectures. This is a solution-based long-form podcast. We do not debate our guests. We choose to build the Self-Love Show. We kick it off with the quote of the day. We'll run our Moor Growth and Development video, as this brother said. And then we'll jump right to the dome teaser because of time. Your mind is an awful thing to waste. So we'll give you a riddle. Hopefully you guys can, dig out the correct answer prior to the end of the show. Do type it into the chat if you can come up with the response. But normally the riddler here, Brother Wordsmith, normally solves these things at the end of the day, probably because he chooses to use his mind. And of course, our topic today, we're going to explore commercial real estate and development opportunities with Eric Nesbit, Esquire. Also, just so you know, we do cover a little bit on his early life. That's very important. And we'll go over the Moor Growth and Development Program with him before we get into how we can stuff our bag with real estate. And we close it out with, of course, my favorite personal part of the whole show, and that's going to be Wordsmith's final words. That's where this brother is going to summarize tonight's topic, tonight's show, off the rip, off the top of his dome, freestyle, as we say. Wonderful bit of metaphysical prose. So big ups to you, fella.
Much appreciation.
All right. First, any announcements?
Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Also, house stock is coming up. Registration's open. I'm gonna pin something in the chat shortly.
Yeah, that's glamping with house music, you guys. That's house stock. Definitely support. And if you appreciate good people and great music, let's get out there and support. I didn't have any announcements today, except as this brother said, please like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to hear from anyone who may be, entrepreneurs. Maybe they're managing, commercial development properties. This is an interactive chat. So, if you got any questions, because we have a guest coming here today with knowledge. These are lessons, not lectures. He's a player in the game, realty attorney as well. So now would be the time to, if you have any questions, put it in the chat. If it's respectful, we'll go ahead and acknowledge, your question or comment. All right. Enough of my yapping. I'll turn it over to this brother so he can continue handling his business.
Absolutely. So we have that very important video for you to check out, Silverback Moor Growth and Development Platform, which we're building the Self-Love Nation off of. And as always, we have the Self-Love Show quote of the day. Buying real estate is not only the best way, the quickest way, the safest way, but the only way to become wealthy. Once again, buying real estate is not only the best way, the quickest way, The Safest Way, but the Only Way to Become Wealthy. That's by Marshall Field. And check this out.
Was it by Macy's or Marshall Field?
Marshall Field. Silverback Moor Growth and Development Platform. Number 1, repair our nation via reparations. We demand our silver back. Number 2, to connect our breadwinners with our activists. And 3, show an accurate depiction of African American Chi-Town. 4, to shine a light on positive influence. 5, heal our community one person at a time. 6, to provide an unfiltered platform for our influencers. 7, recycle the black dollar. 8, to provide mentors for the mentorless.
9,
to close the gap between us and our pink kinsmen.
let's close that gap, y'all. Let's get the financial gap closed. Recycle that bread. All right.
And number 10 is protect our women, children, and men by any and all means necessary.
That's the platform. That's what we stand upon. So, yeah, if you guys didn't catch last week's show, you definitely want to dig into that. We did it right here on TATN. The question is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? But we were asking, what came first, the bigotry or the racism?
Great show. Lots of information. You should go on ahead, check it out.
Yeah, dig down that rabbit hole. Today, we're going to be exploring commercial real estate and development opportunities, the law offices of Eric L. Nesbit, Esquire. You guys, please like, share, subscribe. We got one more video to roll for you for the essence of time, self-love. Did you see the video with 12 being in the UFC? You saw part 1. This is part 2.
Oh, okay.
I know you stay pretty unplugged out there.
Pretty much.
Big ups to CBS Chicago. This is in your backyard there, fella.
All righty.
A 2019 video went viral showing a Chicago police officer body slamming.
Oh, that's
that
right.
Man is suing and now accusing the city of withholding key evidence they were legally required to hand over. CBS 2's Charlie DeMar has this CBS 2 exclusive, and a warning, some of the video you're about to see may be hard to watch.
They give us a flash drive with information on it that contains essentially a smoking gun document from the superintendent of police.
This is the crucial document attorney Stephen Hart says the city of Chicago intentionally withheld for 3 years. Hart didn't even know it existed.
Look what the they just did to this boy.
Hart is suing the city. He represents Bernard Kirsch, who was slammed to the pavement in 2019 by Officer Gerald Williams, an MMA-trained fighter who's known in the ring as Bacon and Eggs.
Let's slow down. Nobody's hurt.
Williams says he used the body slam because Kirsch spit and licked him.
That's been the city's position.
In court documents over and over again, they said that he acted perfectly appropriate.
Attorneys for the city have defended Officer Williams, saying Officer Williams acted reasonably and in accordance with CPD directives when performing the
Bacon and Eggs, are you ready?
It's only after they called them out that they produced this document. This is really bad behavior.
That so-called smoking gun, a 2021 letter from Superintendent David Brown to the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, or COPA, Hart says contradicts the city attorneys.
I think Dr. Law is related to the top
Brown
cop.
agreed with COPA's findings that Officer Gerald Williams used excessive force, given the conduct of the officer, the amount of force used, and the manner in which force was used. CPD believes that the penalty should be more significant than 45 days. CPD contends that Officer Williams should be suspended for 135 days.
It would be a stretch to suggest it was mere inadvertence. It couldn't be. It's
he slammed his head on the
case. This is a repetitive issue for the city.
On the curb.
An independent investigation in 2016 of the city's law department recommended dozens of reforms after the department came under fire for its mishandling of police misconduct cases. Bernard Kirsch's case will go before a judge on Friday. The city's law department did not return our request for a comment. I'm Charlie DeMar, CBS 2 News.
So, first of all, he calls himself bacon and eggs out there. I don't know if that's pork bacon, which comes from the pig, or if it's turkey bacon out there.
Well, it's definitely pig.
Yeah. So he was of a, he was African American out there, and as you said, he looked like attempted murder to me. Like,
man,
if you slam anything down on its head like that on the concrete,
yes,
you're trying to, I think,
kill them.
Yes.
I mean, his body landed on the street, and his head and neck on the curb. That he could have died.
Well, I conjured this up due to the fact that we had another video and the officer performed UFC, and this officer actually is a part of UFC.
Yeah. And
so I don't see how you guys think we're just talking outside of our neck on this show, huh?
Yeah, and for him to use some of that in police work is egregious.
Facts. So, are we gonna say
it's very simple.
Tyranny?
Very easy.
That's tyranny. That's abuse of power. It's a violation of the oath. And so you guys, if you think it's tyranny, give it a thumbs down in the chat or type a capital T. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. And, everybody's entitled to their opinion. We don't debate on the Self-Love Show. When we have a guest, this is how we learn and grow. This is, downloading information, I should say. So definitely tyranny. We're going to skip the next segment because we're, behind a little bit here on time. We'll do it next week. So the topic's going to be exploring commercial real estate and development opportunities with Eric L. Nesbit, Esquire. He's an entrepreneur and also a realty attorney. So this is right up his wheelhouse out there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So the riddle, the dome teaser. All right, here we go, Self. People make me, save me, change me, raise me. What am I? Oh, yeah, I thought that one you'd get pretty good. People make me, save me, change me, and raise me. What am I? And when the guest comes on, he's in the cream room. If he knows the response, we'll take that from him as well. But if anybody in the chat thinks they know it, Self has just typed it in our chat. Well, our guest knows it now because
I didn't specifically send it to you.
Yeah, well, yeah, but Self-Love did get the right response. We'll give you the key at the end of today's show, unless you guys can come up with it first. But enough of all these appetizers there, fella.
Let's quench the Self-Love Nation's thirst.
All right, yes, sir. Big ups to our production staff. We're going to start this promo video and start the introduction. You guys, we got a great one coming up for you guys next week.
So the first thing I would say is go review the lease, see what it says about the landlord's duties to repair. And in this case, it sounds like the tenant wants to argue that there's been a default by the landlord for failing to repair. So this is critical because I get so many clients that come to me and they just want to move out or do things on their own without following what's in the lease.
We got my brother, Self-Love's brother too, coming to the plate. Evil Eric Nesbit.
However, as a landlord, if you're an LLC or a sole proprietorship, and you can
production, if you can reduce volume, please.
And show the amount of revenue that you're losing, that definitely will qualify.
All right, so I'm pulling this off of a website called Super Lawyers. That's a real estate attorney. This isn't hyperbolic. Eric L. Nesbit, Esquire, entrepreneur's got his own law firm. He's a dual licensed real estate and business attorney, focusing primarily on realty, business, and contract negotiations and commercial litigation matters in Colorado and Illinois. Y'all hear that, you Chi-Town people? Mr. Nesbit earned his law degree and Master's of Business Administration from the University of California out here in LA. He also holds a BS degree in finance from the great University of Illinois. Since 1991, which is a fantastic year, I might say, Mr. Nesbit has represented numerous residential and commercial clients, including the Wells Fargo Bank, the RTA, the FDIC, the City and County of Denver, the Urban Land Conservancy, and many others on complex real estate and business matters. Mr. Nesbit is equally adept as an entrepreneur and is also the owner of the Nesbit Commercial Group, a real estate firm. Combining these two spheres of expertise offers a comprehensive view of real estate matters to his clients, not only focusing on real estate, but he is also the owner of Nesbit Sports Management, LLC, where he helps athletes to transition to professional sports careers successfully. Prior to this, he served as general counsel and director of business affairs for the USA Basketball of the United States Olympic Committee. Got to throw me one of those gold medals, nope. Mr. Nesbit is currently a board member of the Colorado Bars Association, continuing legal education organization, and a member of its real estate section. He was a past president of the Denver Metropolitan Commercial Association of Realtors. He is also the former treasurer, or exchequer, of the CBA's Solo and Small Firm Committee and currently serves on the Colorado Real Estate Commission's Forms Committee. Mr. Nesbit's combined skills and expertise have resulted in a number of publications and presentations. And he was selected top 5% of attorneys to Super Lawyers list this year. And that's not just, the melanated, that's all attorneys. So you guys, let's give an electronic clap. Put some hands in that chat, please. As we get this brother in here. And Self-Love, handle your business. And Brother Nesbit, if you have the show playing in the background, please cut the volume down because it's like when you call into the radio.
All right.
Welcome, Brother Nesbit. Thank you for doing this. Okay? Yeah. Thank you for doing this. It's greatly appreciated. I'm going to expand of real estate.
I didn't hear that last part, Tori.
I said you're gonna help expand the Self-Love Nation and in the area of real estate and commercial development.
I certainly hope to. It's an honor to be on the show today and heard a lot about you guys, and obviously would like to do anything I can to promote it and help out my good noobs. So thank you for having me.
Thank you,
Hey. And I want to echo what this Brother Smith said. It's an honor to have you, good Noob. We always appreciate, part of our platform is, showing us, in a different light besides, the gun-toting, carjacking, person. Yeah, we're not a monolith. We all, have our own value that we serve here. So this is just a platform because we saw on the internet, there's a lot of negativity that gets, promoted generally about us, but we'll do our best, not to embarrass you or, get you disbarred or anything like that. So.
Well, I certainly hope not. There can't be much negativity about you guys. It sounds like a great show, and particularly what I saw on the opening and some of the videos. So seems all positive to me.
Well, I definitely appreciate you saying that. So, so you guys know, as I was just explaining, the point of our show is lessons, not lectures. So we bring cats on who actually, doers, movers and shakers, whatever the topic may be, because anybody can bloviate, but, here's someone with some wisdom and understanding because he's actually been doing it. We're a solution-based podcast. We don't debate with our guests. We're here to tell an unfiltered history of Black America, get it straight from the horse's mouth, per se. We also want to obtain our guest thoughts on the Moor Growth and Development platform, discuss his perspective on his early life in these United States. We're also going to go over the importance of realty attorneys, commercial realty and development opportunities. We're going to talk about the 5 W's of how to stuff that bag. And then, of course, we get to one of my favorite parts outside of Wordsmith's final words, which is our esoteric questions we ask every guest. And then we close it out with a 60-second game called the Self-Love Arc. And remember, everyone, these are lessons, not lectures. So, Brother Nesbit, before we start, is there anything, any charities or businesses, that you'd like to promote? Maybe tell everyone how they can get in contact with you as well.
So I can be reached on my at my email address of Eric, ERIC, at nesbitlawoffices.com, NESBITT, lawoffices with an S.com. And my office number is 303-346-4869, 303-346-4869. And I'm actually going to promote our Greater Beta Alumni Chapter, which I'm sure you guys have talked about that on the show before, but it does some great things for the youth, particularly in Champaign-Urbana, but it helps promote education and programs that we seek to do down there. So I would like to plug that a little bit with the time I have.
Yo, I'm actually going to put your link into the chat for everyone to your firm. Let's see here.
Yep.
Okay. I wonder why there's no live chat in this, because I'm on.
I didn't elaborate on it, but Greater Beta is the chapter at University of Illinois where we all came in as good Kappa Alpha Psi men, and to my enjoyment, we still continue to do things with each other and raise money for worthy causes. So I love what we do, and if we can generate more support for that through what we're doing today, that would be great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and yo to you on that, and yo to all the Greater Beta Noops as well. So I did pin the link to his firm, and so judging, from your introduction, you can do business in Illinois and Colorado, correct?
I can, and it's interesting you bring that up, Mills, because my law license has been inactive in Illinois for a long time. I hate to give it up because I've been licensed to practice law there since '91, and I moved out to Colorado. Right. In '96, I moved out here, I believe. I've just always maintained it and never given it up because it was so hard to get that first.
Oh, that's right.
And I haven't had, since moving out here, I haven't had much of an opportunity to utilize the Illinois license, but just coincidentally, I have a new client, a guy I went to to high school with, and he opened up a Smoothie King in Oak Park, and did all his legal. I reviewed his lease agreement and pulled all the bad stuff out of that lease agreement and made it a more balanced document before he signed it. And then they had an issue come up a few weeks ago where one of the carpenters that was working in the space was threatening to file a mechanics lien. So I got in touch with the landlord. It helped facilitate getting that carpenter paid, so lien wouldn't be filed, which would have resulted in a default by my client. But that's my first Illinois matter for a long time. So it's always nice to have a foot in the water or pinky in the water in Illinois, being able to do something there.
Absolutely. We can have Brother Smith here showing up on your behalf and talk to your clients in the great state of Illinois.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. These first batch of questions is regarding this brother's early life. So you mentioned Lindblom. I take it maybe you came up in the city of Chicago, but when and where were you born, and describe what it was like growing up there at the time that you grew up there?
So I grew up, you're correct. I grew up in Chicago, south side of Chicago, and was born at Cook County Hospital there. Actually, it's called Lions Inn, which I think was later renamed as Cook County Hospital, my mom tells me, but I could have that fact wrong. I was born in 1965, and I'm 57 years old this year. Will be 58 in August, my birthday. And I love the fact that I grew up in Chicago, born and raised there. And I'll talk about a little bit later how having that background and that experience growing up on the mean streets of Chicago and combining that with a great education makes you very formidable and hard to beat. And you can pretty much, I think it gives you the best education. You can handle most things that come at you. You've got the aptitude to deal with a lot of things, and then you've got that street side and that, how to react to different things. So I love the fact I was raised there, wouldn't change anything about it. I would probably describe my upbringing as a middle-class Black upbringing. So in no stretch of the imagination, it probably didn't match what our white brothers and sisters, how they, their income levels. But we grew up, I remember growing up when I was very young, we grew up around the Jay's potato chip factory there off of 100th Street in Cottage Grove.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lived there.
You can smell it when they sell you the chips there cheap. Yeah.
So lived there until we were about 6. I was about 6 or 7. And then for some reason, and I learned later why my parents did this, for some reason they moved us to Roseland, which didn't seem, as a 6 or 7 year older, that didn't seem to be an equivalent. It seemed to be a lesser housing accommodations than where we were living at in our house, but we bought a 2-flat apartment there. I just realized no one says 2 flats except in Chicago. So those that aren't in Chicago probably don't know what that means. It's just a 2-unit apartment building. So we bought that in Roseland. And my parents, I later learned that was a strategic move so that they could rent out the top unit
and live rent-free.
Mortgage.
Yeah.
And then, so I think we lived there probably 5 or 6 years. And I went to a Catholic school in Roseland called All Saints, which was a really good education that I got there for city standards. Again, it probably didn't compare with what kind of education was provided in some of the white neighborhoods and on the north side of Chicago. But I thought it was a pretty good education. And then my parents sold that home, or that 2-unit apartment building, and used that money to buy a home in Beverly, which is a great neighborhood of Chicago, and we moved there.
So we loaded up the truck and we moved to Beverly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly kind of how it felt. And I left All Saints in 7th grade and then went to a school called Bernard for 8th grade, which is by the Beverly Bank on 103rd Street there. So I went there for 8th grade and did well there. Always did well in school, didn't really have any issues. I was terrified of my father. So, pretty much did what he told me to do. And he always stressed the importance of education and always was pretty competitive in class in elementary school and high school, and ultimately ended up going to Lindblom for high school. And that was
It's a magnet. It was a technical school or
technical high school.
Okay.
High school. So did a lot of great work there. There was I remember as a freshman during career day, they brought an attorney to the school to talk to us about what it was like to be an attorney. And I sat at the front of the class and I was just mesmerized by seeing a real live attorney, because that's what I had always wanted to do.
Was he African American?
He was. I think he worked for the city but he really spoke a ambition in me. And I'm like, I really want to do that. And I had thought about doing that. And you're going to laugh at the reason why I kind of came to that conclusion. As a young boy, probably 6 or 7, I was thinking I wanted to be a doctor. And then my father described all the blood and gore and the schooling that was involved with being a doctor. And he would watch 60 Minutes every Sunday, which is a habit I have taken on and do that. And it seemed like all the lawyers that were on there were well-dressed, seemed to be making a lot of money, seemed to be well-respected. And I thought, this is a career I want to go into. Was scared of speaking publicly and was always like that probably until I got out of law school. But I thought I want to be a lawyer. So from 4th or 5th grade on, I always thought this is a career path I want to pursue. And when I saw that lawyer come speak to us my freshman year of Lindblom, it really lit a fuse and a fire in me, and always set my sights to that's what I wanted to do. And Lindblom was a great education. I attribute it to a lot of my success. It wasn't fun to ride the CTA bus from Beverly to 64 Ashland. That was a bit treacherous.
Absolutely.
But we were robbed a few times and held up by gunpoint. But again, those are the things that I take with me, and that's the street education that I've learned. And combining that with a law degree and an MBA, it's a great combination. And one of my friends calls me a Ivy League street fighter, because although UCLA isn't an Ivy League school, you get kind of the comparison he's making, just having a great education, combining that with a South Side upbringing and
street knowledge.
And you guys can appreciate this because I think you both grew up in Chicago or have ties there, but it was a unique upbringing with the great radio stations, V103 and BMX, and just being around in a chocolate city and all the Black folks and the culture and parents who cared about you. So it's a unique upbringing. It's dangerous. It was dangerous in a lot of respects, but again, I wouldn't trade that upbringing for anything.
Well, you brought up something because Tori Shipp, James Beckham, he's a graduate of Lindblom, and he sat with us. He was our second guest, and he's into finance, has his MBA and everything. Has run banks, and he mentioned that he had at Lindblom, someone came and spoke to him at Lindblom. Same thing you said about the attorney showing up. So, big ups to Lindblom. And he also mentioned about the robberies on the bus too.
Yeah, but it's funny that happened because I'm a sound engineer, and an engineer came and spoke to us at Leo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it, put me in that motion towards that.
It's amazing how those early interactions really make us who we are and inspire us. And I try to give back and do the same thing with my kids and other young people I talk to. Because
absolutely,
when you see people, I hadn't seen a Black attorney until this attorney came to Lindblom, and
absolutely
see him and to hear him really let me know if he could do that, I could do that.
I can do it. Same thing like when you got the U of I. If this guy can pledge at beta, I can pledge at beta. But now,
I didn't know it would be as hard as it was.
and he definitely couldn't have been head knocker. He had issues with public speaking through.
Yes.
All right, but here we go. Can you provide the Self-Love Nation with any sayings or colloquialisms, as we call it, that you may live by? Maybe you heard it as a child from your dad or any elders, or anyone that that sticks out, that stuck with you.
I was thinking about that question, and I recall as a probably a young teenager, or even before that, when we moved to the Beverly neighborhood, my mom would make a point to take us to an ice skating park on, I think it was like 99th and Longwood Drive, I believe. And we were the only Black kids out there. And my mom would always say, you got to get used to being with them. And in most instances, they have all the good stuff, so you might as well get in with them and enjoy it. They shouldn't be able to enjoy it all on their own. And she also would say, white folks sure know how to live. And I tease her about that to this day because it's true. So I credit her with exposing us to some of the better things of life and how they live, and getting me comfortable being around them and realizing if they have those things, we can have them too. It didn't feel comfortable to be the only one that looked like my sister and I there, but it was her. I still remember those sayings. They sure know how to live, and she would just be amazed at kind of the living standards they would have. And we were doing pretty well. I would describe ourselves as middle-class Black, but it was still we were a lower level than kind of how they were. So to be exposed to that, and that sticks with me till today. And later in life, I read a book. I know you'll probably be asking me about books later, but there was a book by one of our fraternity brothers, Reginald Lewis, called "Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun?" And it kind of mirrors what my mother was saying. If they can do things and buy billion-dollar companies, if they can become developers, shoot, I can do the same thing. If they can be a lawyer, I can be a lawyer. So those are the things that have motivated me to go out and try to conquer things, knowing that others have been able to do them. And it's just not just because I look a certain way, I don't need to be relegated to being and doing what everybody else does that looks like me. I can expand and feel comfortable and set trends and do things I want to do. And I kind of live by that.
It's funny. I'm going to clear the chat real quick, but it's funny that your mom said that, because I remember when I got to U of I, we had an ice storm, and then all of the white people on campus, the school was shut down. It was a bad ice storm. Everything was frozen. And all of the white kids on campus were like playing ice hockey and ice skating in the street. We had a big flood one year, and there was literally, the streets were flooded, and they had their rafts out and canoes, and they were like, so yeah, it's interesting. They definitely know how to live. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think she was as interested in exposing us to ice skating. I think her thing was, all these white kids are up there. We now live in the neighborhood. Let's go see what it's all about. And, you guys need to be exposed and see how they do things.
Right.
And I credit her to this day because, the world I live in now is predominantly white. And I feel like I maintain my Blackness. I'm comfortable in my skin and flow the way I want to flow. And a lot of that's attributable to how my mother raised me.
Big ups to Mama Do here on Women's Heritage Month. You was about to say something, Self, then I'm gonna clear the chat real quick.
Yeah, they used to do that at a lot of parks. Like they used to do it at Rosenblum Park right across from my house.
Okay.
They ice it over and have a little hut with something burning in there, keeping it warm, and you ice skate and all of that.
Yeah, what blew my mind was just that we may see disaster and, we're holed up in the dorm rooms or, at the Kappa house, whatever you're doing, and they're out having fun. You know what I mean? They're out, making the best of it, which we do know how to do as a people. But that just kind of came to me. H. Moultrie said Fox weather, Fox business. He's a Fox guy. All right. Ace answered the riddle. He said cream. And Ace, you're absolutely wrong. I'm going to have to see how you came up with that. I mean, cream is always good to talk about, but you're wrong. H. Moultrie said Wakil in the house. Oh, over at your house. What's up, Wakil?
Yes, sir.
And Cater Menace. I call him Cater Menace to Society. He said, you Lindblomers. Hyde Park had a little bit of that experience. Thank you, Brother Menace. I attended William H. Ray School in Hyde Park. But, this isn't about Hyde Park, Brother Menace. And he said that the book was a good read. I'm actually going to have to put that on my list because I haven't read it.
Very inspirational. Very inspirational. And
Charles E.
Cater Menace is a great brother. Great brother. He made me
love him.
Learned a lot from him.
Love him. He actually sat with us. I'll send you the link to his show. He was very introspective. Charles E. Newman, he said, like Bob Johnson, I can do it too. Yep. KSKK, Charles E. Newman. All right. I'm going to throw it over to you, Self Love, to close out the early life segment.
All right, brother. Nesbit. To rise above environmental stressors and perceived challenges as a shorty.
Can you repeat that? I think your internet's tweaking.
Oh, is it? Okay. Who do you credit for helping you to rise above environmental stressors and perceived challenges as a shorty?
That's a tough question. I had literally a love-hate relationship with my father, and I won't get into all the details and have you guys psychoanalyze me. But on one hand, he was really, really focused on academics and making sure that I was equipped, knew how to speak the King's English. That's a phrase I heard often as a kid to reference Mill's earlier question. But he was really focused on speaking well, writing well, and worked with me almost every night on my homework. So I credit him with a lot of my study skills and how well I've done academically. The flip side of that is it was a lot of negative motivation where he would tell me, I've gone to these Black schools on the South Side. I'm not going to be able to compete when I go to college. And I don't have the study skills and so on. So a lot of negative critique of what I was doing and so on. And it kind of came to a head when we got into a physical altercation. The night I graduated from high school, we got into it and stuff had just built up, and then we didn't have a relationship until the day he died almost 25 years later. So on one hand, I can say unequivocally, I credit him with why I'm an attorney, because he was so adamant about make the noun and the verb match. You got to know how to do the math. You got to study. And I would, as a result of that, I was often in the top 2 of kids in my class in terms of academics. But it was such negative motivation at times that I still find myself, even though I kind of made my peace with him before he passed away, I still find myself, I'm always trying to outdo myself, or in a way trying to show him that he was wrong. And I still have that as a 57-year-old man. And the challenge I have with 2 teenage boys is try not to adopt a lot of those same habits. Obviously, I want to make sure they do well in school and show them that the secret sauce is education, but I don't want to do it where I'm telling them what they can't do and how they're not going to do well and so on, because I think my father went over the line with that. So I've had to cope with that and deal with it through various stages of my life.
So to be clear, and big ups to your dad, and may he rest in peace, before you move on. So you're saying though, but you still credit your dad in spite of all of that.
Yeah, because I want to be
yeah.
honest about it, you know.
Yeah.
And it was, my father was a Black man born in the 40s, like probably many of our fathers. And, you know, I rarely recall him telling me, love me. And I don't think I ever heard that. And, but was really, Black men of that era, they were really into having a job. He worked for the CTA, the early part of his career, driving a bus, and then he got promotions and was an engineer with them. But he was into making sure we had a home. My mom didn't work because he brought enough money home for our house. And obviously we were able to matriculate from 100th Street to Roseland, which was a strategic real estate play, to Beverly, which was a great neighborhood to grow up in. And he was adamant about writing. He was adamant about, we would sit down and outline sentences, and he would explain why the noun goes here, why the verb goes there, the subject and the object, and all that stuff that helped me become a better writer, which is really 80% of law school. And really, most of what I do now, I think I write pretty well. I'm not the best speaker, but I think him being on me about speaking and speaking in the right way, all that was on him. So to be honest about it, I have to credit him for that. But in terms of the emotional intellect, none of that was there. So
Right.
I have to be careful as a father and as a husband, and it's in me because, you know, I've got his genes, but I have to be careful not to let some of that spill out in my own family relationships. And that's kind of what I have to deal with. So through counseling and, you know, just talking to people, you know, so I had to, because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm in a bad family deal. I don't want to have what happened with my father. I don't want to repeat that with my sons.
Right. I'd say you can let some out, just not all of it. You know, I've been called a tough lover too, but I get it. I understand it. You know, I've got, you know, paternal issues as well. But, you know, thank God he was there. I mean, so I always say this, tough love is better than no love, you know.
True.
You know, because at the end of the day, it's love. But go ahead, self-love on that. Go ahead.
Yeah. What was your dream to achieve as a child?
I would say to be a lawyer and to be successful. And I didn't talk about this when you guys asked me the question about my earlier upbringing, but one of the really pivotal moments in my life was we took a cross-country trip, the family, and I was probably 11 or 12, and we drove to California. And I recall doing we did Universal Studios, which was phenomenal to see how movies were made and so on. But really what stuck in my mind was a bus trip we did of the celebrity stars' homes in Beverly Hills.
Wow.
And the affluence and the wealth was just as someone from Roseland.
And there's not a rose in Roseland, by the way, but go ahead.
There's not a rose in Roseland, but to see how people were living and these homes and this opulence. And I just thought, what do I need to do to be in a position to live like that or to approach living like that? So that always stuck in my mind. And when I would ask questions about what I needed to do, it was my father would often say, well, you know, lawyers and doctors, people like that, engineers, people like that, they create the type of wealth where they can live like that. So I always aimed high and shot for opportunities like that, or wanted to be in a position where I could live like that and have my family live like that. So, and I'm very blessed and happy with my lifestyle. I don't need to, you know, looking back on that Beverly Hills trip, I don't feel like I didn't reach my potential by not having a multi-million-dollar home in Beverly Hills, but shoot for the stars and aim at the moon, or vice versa, how they say. So I think having those goals and seeing how the rest of the world lives and being being having the advantage to travel like that, when many of the kids in my elementary school hadn't been out of Illinois, but having the ability to not only travel, but to go to California to see how the wealthy folks live and so on, that stood with me. And I knew there's a way I can get there, I hope, and I always assumed it was through education. So that's what I used to try to climb.
Interesting. Yeah. Shoot for the moon. And if you miss, per Donnie Simpson, BET, founded by great debater Newt Bob Johnson. He said, shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll be amongst stars. Yeah, I took a personal tour through those Beverly Hills homes when I moved here. And I'm like, man, this gate to this man's house is worth like 4 times my car. You know what I mean? So yeah, it had to be an eye-opening experience, like you said, coming from Roseland and seeing that. And then you're saying, well, how can I connect the dot? We're about closing the gap, you know, of their financial advantages. And you're saying that you use, you know, education as a way. And it looks like your dad was using real estate too, you know, as a way to get your family to the next step. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And if I may tell this story, so they used real estate obviously to get us to the home in Beverly Hills, or Beverly, I should say. And then years later, when my mom, she couldn't live in that home, my dad was gone, they were divorced, and my mom was getting too old to live in that home by herself. And then she sold the home and gave me like $20,000 or $25,000. And then I bought an apartment building in Beverly.
Nice.
So I bought a 5-unit apartment building there. And then I bought that, I think, in 2000. And then in 2015, I sold that apartment building and bought two small office buildings here in Denver. And then I just sold one of those last year and bought a property in Vail, Colorado, a ski property in Vail, Colorado. So,
nice.
So you can connect the dots to that property in Roseland, which was sold to buy the Beverly property, which my mom passed on some wealth to me to buy some things. So you can connect the dots all the way back to that.
Well done. Was that Beverly 5-unit? Was that your first commercial property that you bought?
It was.
All right. Well, we'll get there. And you guys like, share, subscribe. We're sitting with, we're going to explore commercial realty and development opportunities. We're with the law offices. We have the lead attorney, Eric L. Nesbit, in the building. He's also an entrepreneur. And as you can hear, he is adept in the commercial realty space. Self-love, send this link to Brow Spite. I know he's commercial as well. All right, so we're going to jump into the platform questions, more growth and development. So I need you to choose education, spirituality, or financial literacy. You have a gun to your head and you have to select one. Which tenet do you subscribe to be the most important for Black Americans out of those 3?
Not to slight spirituality, but I would have to say the tenet that's made the most difference in my life would be education. It's the reason where I'm at today, primarily, and it's allowed me to go places I never thought I would be able to go to, travel the world, experience life in a very nice fashion. So I would have to. I think education is it, where we need to be as a people. And once you have it, I mean, you asked Brother Mills, one of the sayings I heard growing up, and a lot of those are coming back to me as we talk, but one of the sayings I heard frequently was, you get an education, they can't take it away from you. And it's so true. You have that, you've got a degree, and you can go out and you can work in corporate America, which I'm not a big fan of, but we can talk about that later. Or you can pursue entrepreneurial pursuits or interests and try to make things on your own. But it's the way, I think it's one of the the greatest ways for us to achieve wealth and to rise as a people.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, that's so you said education. All right, all right. All right. All right. The last guest we had, I think, said spirituality. We just started really framing that question that way. There's no wrong answer to it. So that's interesting. No one said the bag yet, which I find surprising, but you're saying the education is a means to getting
Absolutely.
the bag. Right.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Particularly in this society, it's that's the way it's constructed. You know, you get the education, you get the college degree, and you're able to compete in this country and globally, and then it opens up so many different opportunities.
Facts. And I know the entrepreneur in you, and let me get to the next question. Yes, the education allows you to get a career where you can have more discretionary income so that now you can save, invest, and repeat, save, invest, and repeat. As long as you're not tricking your money off out there, kids, and just buying everything and not saving it, because you can be making $300,000 a year and still broke at the end of the day. You see that with a lot of entertainers and athletes. So make sure that you're investing that money. Here's a more serious question. Well, they're all serious, but what should Black men, it's Women's Heritage Month, as you may know, our children and women come up missing more than any other demographic in this nation. Many people come up missing in Chicago. They're still looking for Jimmy Hoffa out there. What should Black men do to protect our women and children?
It's a deep question there. We've got to, I think this is a generalization, but we've got to love the Black women. You know, I'm married to a sister. I think we have to, it's so fun to date around and have fun in our 20s and our 30s, but I'm a big believer in enhancing and improving the state of the Black family. And with the understanding that people have to love who they fall in love with. I think that there are plenty of sisters out here that are looking for Black men to be with.
Especially in Chicago. Oh my God.
Especially in all urban areas. And I just have a sense of disappointment sometimes when I see our brothers, particularly our more educated brothers who have achieved and done things, and they choose to go a different route. Again, I get that you love who you fall in love with, and sometimes you can't control that. But I'm a big believer in promoting the Black family and having kids raised in a two-parent household and having the father in the home doing what he's supposed to do. So to answer your question directly, if as Black men, if we have kids, take care of the kids. That's an overused generalization, but still carries true today. Take care of your kids and consider the benefits of strengthening the Black family by finding you a good sister and hooking up with her and raising a family and keeping it going on. I mean, that's the motto I've tried to follow. And you know, my kids, I don't have a perfect relationship with my kids. I don't have a perfect relationship with my wife, but I try to do what I can and love her and love my kids and show them things that they'll remember, travel the world with them. And so when they become men, they can adopt and see some of the things I've done and that with their own family. And hopefully marry a beautiful Nubian queen and keep up the tradition.
I love it. I love it. I love that. So I'm hearing, wife, the melanated woman, be present, raise your children, and, be a positive person. And that in itself, if we all did that, repeated that, would absolutely protect the women and the children. So
Absolutely.
Well said. Self-love.
I agree. Facts. So on a different note, would like you to speak on reparations.
Yeah, speak on reparations.
Okay. So I've kind of evolved on this topic. When the topic became vogue a few years ago, I was thinking, why are we even wasting energy on that? White folks are not going to give us reparations. It comes off as us asking for government handouts or something like that. But my opinion's evolved on that a bit. And the more I learn and get an understanding, I mean, we've always known that this country is built on the backs of our ancestors, and the economy and a lot of the wealth that was created was built on the backs of Black men and women. And I do think that there's a good reason and rationale for reparations to be paid. I don't know how that formula looks or how the process would work. You can imagine, based on my earlier answers to the questions, that I would think that some of that might be in the form of educational grants or tuition being waived for ancestors of slaves, but I haven't dug deep into the issue enough to kind of understand the drawbacks or positive attributes of doing it that way. But when you look at it, God, in traveling the world, I think Black men, particularly, and Black women as well, we are the most disrespected race on the face of the earth. We've had a very tough time in this culture, in this country, and we are still suffering the repercussions of slavery and post-slavery. And there's systematic racism that's still in place. And whatever can be done to try to give us our fair piece of the pie, particularly from an economic perspective, I think we should get it. We never got our 40 acres and a mule. And if you just, as a real estate guy, if you just think about the historical benefits or the perspective of what someone getting out of slavery, if they were given 40 acres and a mule and had investments in real estate, what their ancestors, the wealth their ancestors would have now. That's how wealth is created in this economy and in this country, a lot of times through real estate. And that's the quote that you guys played earlier from Marshall Field. So think about if all the descendants or all the people coming out of slavery had that 40 acres and they passed it on to their heirs and they passed it on to their heirs. We would be in a much different place than we're in today. And so, again, I don't know how we tackle it, but I am a believer that there should be some benefits passed on to descendants of slaves. And, a lot of the people on the right don't want to give us anything. So I don't know how that this may never happen in our lifetime, but you never know. But I think it's something we need to keep pressing for.
Wholeheartedly agree. Cut the crap, cut the check. The one thing I'll add, just like you said, you help the gentleman clear up that mechanics lien. I think it's time we get some attorneys like yourself, and we're going to file a mechanics lien against the United States of America. Take it all the way up to the Supreme Court. To your point about 40 acres and a mule, they gave us 40 ounces and a Cadillac or blunt.
And a national holiday that we didn't ask for.
And they gave the slavers,
the enslavers,
the reparations.
Isn't that something?
Correct. So cut the crap, cut the check. Yes.
I like that.
I've been pro reparations even back in the college days. I did a lot of things before it became vogue, but I'll just say that, and people used to say, well, they're never going to give you anything. I made my money, in the default accounts, recovery, bill collections, things like that. And I'm not begging. I used to talk to business owners and they'll say, well, I can give you, 20,000. You're not giving my client anything. You are paying what you owe. Yes. And that's a mindset. You owe the money, right? And you pay the money. Now we could talk about settlements and things like that, but cut the crap and cut the check. And here's how I would position it to the right, right? We did clunkers for cash. God bless my people. I love us. We spend money into the economy. We go to the Gucci store, whatever, many of us, right? What I'm saying is you sell it or you frame it as a boost to the economy. Can you imagine what would happen in America if they cut a check? These guys want more money. I want something realistic, 300 to 500K. Just cut the check. You imagine what that would do to the American economy? That's how you have to frame it to the alt-right. You're going to be making this money, right? Now, there'll be cats like you, like Brother Wordsmith, like myself. We're going to start buying commercial property and real property and things of this nature. But there's going to be many who just buy nonsense. It's their money. They can do whatever they want to with it.
Right.
What I'm saying is it's an economy booster, and that's the only way you're going to sell it to America. You guys are going to make money off of this endeavor. And
their response would be, well, how do we pay for it? We don't have the money to pay for that.
Well, they've proven that they can pull money right out the crack of their butt during COVID and this Ukraine.
And Ukraine, and when they paid the enslavers.
Yes.
So however you figured it out then, and like I said, I've worked in recovery for years. I don't do that anymore, but I can give you examples, have a bake sale, sell some assets, I can do that, but it's your job to figure out how to make that happen. It's not our job to figure out how they're going to pay me my money back that's owed to me from the blood, sweat, and tears of my ancestors.
You figured out the PPP and you figured out Ukraine.
Ukraine.
I don't want to hear anything.
All good points. All good points. All
right, so you guys, this is the last.
No argument.
Yeah, and this is the last day we're going to be playing halftime here because they like to ding us. We're changing our musical format. We have a musician right here with the guitars behind him. So we're going to be working to get our own music so that we're not getting dinged anymore. But Brother Nesbit, we're going to take like a 6-minute break. Give us a chance to stretch our legs, and we'll see you shortly.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Y'all know what time it is. Self-love show. We're exploring commercial realty and development opportunities with Law Office of Eric L. Nesbit. Did his early life. Got into some college, in the college area. Now we're going to expand in the second half. And we got some very important videos for you to watch. Check out. Y'all know what time it is.
I do too. It's halftime. House stock, y'all. House stock. Get it in.
Oh, man, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we skipped that one demo. Free the guys, y'all. Prison is slavery. Please like, share, subscribe.
Yep. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all know what to do. Here we go. Joe, who do you credit for helping you to rise above the environmental stressors as a shorty?
Man, my brothers, really my brotherhood, you know what I mean? I had a good foundation, you know what I'm saying, with some real solid brothers, you know what I'm talking about, like cats that were real influential to me. They raised their kids, you know what I mean? They worked their jobs, they provided for their families, you know what I mean? They were street dudes, but they was thorough though, you know what I'm saying? So, man, I credit my team, you know what I mean? Because, man, I'm notorious throughout the streets, you know what I'm saying, for being like, as a shorty, we was really like in it. We was out there, you know what I'm saying? So I had a reputation for that. But these brothers, they saw my potential and they curved me from what I was doing, you know what I'm saying? So we've been together, man, 20 plus years, man. So that's what it is. Secret society, all we ask is trust, you hear me?
That's amazing that you said that, because there's a narrative going around that a lot of the OGs wasn't well, it may be true, it may not be true, but they a lot of the OGs was just creating crash test dummies, send-offs. But it sounds like to me you was getting some knowledge, some wisdom, some understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been spreading, that's the thing. I ain't selfish with the jewels that I pick up along the way, you know what I'm saying? I spread them joints. So I've been helping the brothers like my peers, you know what I'm saying? I always been the one walking in front of them, you know what I'm saying? So the things that I was picking up from bro them, you know what I'm saying? I always been spreading it, just trying to enlighten my brothers or whatever. But yeah, that's facts though.
We've got one who can see.
That's what's up. Because in that light of that whole, what you said, what advice would you provide a shorty contemplating jumping off the porch in 2023?
Don't do it.
Hey bros, what's going on? This is Cotton. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
Do you still have them?
Are you ready for the ultimate glamping weekend experience? Well, wait no further because House Stock is here. What is House Stock? House Stock is a musical and spirit elevating experience. House Stock embodies the relevance of cultural music from around the world. It's all about the spiritual connection music has all over the globe. So come join us for a testament of love and unity via music. House Stock. House Stock will feature the best DJs the Midwest has to offer. Genres include deep house, soulful house, Afro house, techno, progressive, and of course, the classic house sound. Need more? House Stock will have robust vendor village, food trucks, spirit vendors, and memorabilia vendors are all deep. A VIP area for glamping, so pack up that tent and come glamp with us. Where, you may ask? 2729 Wildwood, and that's in Pembroke Township, Illinois. Tickets are available at housestock.com.
Isn't there another one after this? Yeah, there was supposed to be one more, bro.
Yeah, there it is. I was on mute because I have my thing to do.
Yeah.
I thought
Pick up some production.
Thought I wasn't when I said, yeah, it's another one.
Right.
Brother,
I'm wiping it though. I'm gonna wipe it. I'm gonna wipe it. I'm gonna say, hey.
Tori's oldest brother, between us. Tori made me at Beta. And so, he just wanted to say a few words before we let you go here.
Okay. Yeah.
Brother Thomas, thank you so much for gracing us with your appearance, man. Grateful. You expanded our nation beyond belief. It's just a wonderful thing. And we would like to present you with the Self-Love Show first annual Ernest Lee Thomas Achievement Award.
Oh man.
It's apropos that you are the first recipient.
And Noop, we call it the Raj.
We're gonna call it the Raj.
Oh, I love it. Oh man.
Yeah, so we have it on order. So it's gonna come here. We're gonna show it to the show, and then myself or Tasia deliver it to you or ship it to you from there.
Thank you, brother.
All righty. Let's get it going.
Yeah, that one really cuts off.
Yeah, I should have played that one first.
Very abruptly. This far. This far. Anywhere. This far. Yes, welcome back. The Self-Love Show, where we're exploring commercial realty and development opportunities with the law offices of Eric L. Nesbit.
It's pinned in the chat. The link is pinned in the chat.
Yes, we're building.
In Colorado. Go ahead, bro. My bad.
No, we're building. We're going to get into it. Start talking about commercial realty and development opportunities.
Yeah, it's about that time now.
The time to get into the meat of that.
Absolutely. And before we bring the guest back, Brother Newman was talking about, that was it, Noop. Cash for clunkers or clunkers for cash. Yeah, clunkers for cash.
Yeah.
He said that program helped him tremendously when he was transitioning from entrepreneur to an employee during the 2009 recession.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, imagine how much that reparations check it would help the transitions, huh?
You already know what that'll do. Big ups to Trife Mac for the intellectual property.
Big ups to all you guys. We appreciate you guys allowing us to use your intellectual property. But we'll be moving beyond it, moving forward. We definitely appreciate you cats. Before we start, I want to read a legal disclaimer. The information provided on this show does not and is not intended to constitute legal or financial advice. Instead, all information, content available on this show are for general informational purposes only. Information on the Self-Love Show may not constitute the most up-to-date legal or financial information. Please consult with your attorney and or your financial advisor prior to pulling the trigger and making such decisions. All right, so let's go ahead and start off chapter 2. Welcome back, good brother. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, so we've made it to our professional life of this brother's journey. And the good thing about what we're doing here is we're getting all of this information into the cloud. like, I wish I had the opportunity, Brother Nesbit, to sit here and watch a 2-hour video with my great grandfather talking about how times were, as opposed to what his story is being taught in school, his mindset, even my great grandmother, not to be misogynistic. So that's the main purpose of our show. So professional life, I think you indicated why you were an attorney. You did, so I appreciate that. You had a melanated attorney show up to your high school, and also even as a child, based off of information you were receiving from your late dad, you were plugged into becoming an attorney. So big ups on achieving your childhood dreams and achievements, because I had a dream of being a Major League Baseball player and an NBA basketball player and an NFL football player. So, but what's the need for realty attorneys, contract attorneys? If you can kind of, talk about the need for what you do and what you do, please.
Okay. So I've been practicing law now about 33 years. And most of the time, the focus has been in areas of real estate. And it's a wide spectrum of different services that we offer in that area. And the simplest example I can provide you is landlord-tenant disputes. So be it a tenant that feels like they're not getting repairs done that they're seeking, and believe that the landlord has defaulted or not following the terms of the lease, or the flip side of that, if the tenant is not paying rent. I'm actually on a matter like that tomorrow morning on a pre-trial hearing where I represent a good Kappa brother, 90-year-old Kappa brother, if you can believe that. Denver, who is, he rented a place, one of his properties, to a young lady, and she just stopped paying rent. So after about a year or so, we were finally able to negotiate a settlement to get her out of the property. Believe it or not, now she's claiming that we owe her security deposit when she shouldn't be entitled to any security deposit because she failed to pay the rent. So she doesn't have an attorney, and we're representing her on that matter, or representing my client on that matter, and we go to trial on that the first week of April. So that's a simplistic example of a landlord-tenant dispute. And I don't do a lot of the landlord-tenant disputes. I push a lot of those down to some contract attorneys that work with me. But we take on those disputes and try to do the best job we can in representing the tenant or the landlord. On the opposite spectrum, we do work, and you mentioned this, Brother Mills, in the introduction. I represent Wells Fargo. So they do a lot of SBA loans where they take real estate as collateral for those loans. And when the borrowers fail to pay because of circumstances where the business just isn't doing well, or economic forces, if they fail to pay, then Wells Fargo will declare default, and they bring me in to sue to recover on the amount that's owed, as well as to recover the real estate to pay for the debt that's owed, or that's securing the indebtedness. So we do foreclosure work. A lot of that, I've been fortunate to have Wells Fargo as a client now for about 10 years, and that's been pretty good work for me. And then we do a lot of commercial lease review. I mentioned earlier in the segment that I have a client who is just opened up a Smoothie King in Oak Park there in the Chicago area. And with all these office leases, retail leases, generally the landlord will create a lease agreement that's drafted by the landlord's counsel and is very heavily favored to benefit the landlord. So typically that's a 50 to 60 page lease agreement. I'll go through that agreement. I'll point out areas to my client, my tenant client, where I think the language needs to be softened or language needs to be removed to be more fair and balanced for the tenant that's going to be taking the space. And I view my role in that negotiation is, as a lawyer, I don't want to get in the way of the deal. So I want to protect my client. I want my client to walk in with their eyes open, understanding the legal issues and the risks they face if they sign this agreement. And if I equip my client with an understanding of what's in the document, and we try to change some things and the landlord doesn't agree to it, at least they can make an educated decision and decide if they want to sign that document or not. But they go in and they can weigh the business risks. And unfortunately, a lot of us will see an agreement like that and won't seek legal counsel to review it and just will sign it. And I tell my clients, in most cases, I would say 50 to 60% of the edits I suggest to the landlord's counsel, they accept those edits. You know, we're not going to get everything, but a lot of the things I push back on, the landlord is expecting that and will push back, but their default position on their agreement is normally very one-sided in favor of the landlord. So one of the lessons that people can learn out here, if you're opening up a business or getting office space and a lease is presented to you, I hear all the time where it's a form lease. It's a form lease created by the landlord.
Right.
So I just think there can't be any changes made to it. So we do that a lot. We do purchase and sale agreements for both residential properties and commercial properties. And again, there's no such thing as a form agreement on those as well. There are issues from the seller perspective that you want to make sure are nailed down. One of the most important issues may be the size of the earnest money being the money that's going to go hard or be non-refundable if the buyer defaults and doesn't proceed with the closing. So we want that to be as sizable as possible from the standpoint of the seller and really give the buyer some skin in the game so they perform. And if they don't perform, we were able to take this money and put the property back on the market. On the buyer side, the issues are a little bit different. So from the buyer side, you want to give yourself some contingencies to get out of the deal if inspection issues come up, if environmental issues come up, if you can't get a loan in a reasonable amount of time, you want to build into the contract certain contingencies that allow you to walk away and get your earnest money back if things go south or if for some reason you just don't want to proceed with the deal anymore. So we do a lot of that. Title issues, people buy homes or buy properties, and it's important to look at the title and see if there are any clouds on title or issues that may impact your ability to do things with the property. So for instance, this is a kind of outlandish example, but if you buy a property, a commercial property, for instance, and there's a covenant that prohibits building a new structure on the site. Maybe you want to buy a home in Hyde Park, for lack of a better example, and you want to pop the top and go vertical. And maybe there's a covenant in the HOA documents that prohibit that. And if you haven't reviewed that before buying the property, it may really inhibit your ability to do what you want with the property. So we review a lot of title work. We make sure we'll look at the survey to make sure that there aren't any encroachments, any fences over the boundary line, et cetera. So I can go on and on. There's a lot that goes into being a real estate attorney. I don't necessarily chase the work that requires me to go to court or litigate. I'm a pretty good litigator if I have to do it, or a trial attorney, but it doesn't really promote a good night's sleep when I have to do that. It kind of stresses me out. But I've got a chip on my shoulder, so when I do have to go to court, I find the competition sometimes will not take me serious, or particularly from the bigger firms, they think they're just going to wipe the floor with me, and I generally do well in court if I need to go. But that's not work that I'm trying to chase. But if we write a nasty letter, for instance, I had a lady in a rural community here in Colorado, and she signed an agreement to purchase a new townhome in the mountain community. And the owner or the general contractor just said, we're not going to build the property. We're going to just give you your $50,000 back. Well, my client was harmed by that because this was 2019 when she entered the contract. Interest rates have gone up.
Interest, inflation,
the cost of housing, and so on.
the lost money that could have been received from the investment. Right.
So I wrote a nasty letter to the contractor, the developer. They got their big firm involved and they said, we don't owe you guys anything. And then there was a mediation clause in the contract. And I said, well, let's just mediate it and then go to trial after that if we can't resolve it through mediation. I said that after demanding $100,000 from my client.
It's a lot more than I would have demanded.
Yeah,
Nice.
so we demanded $100,000.
Yeah.
Long story short, when I pushed on mediation, they knew I was serious and we settled at $50K. And the client was happy, but I had to write a nasty letter, and I was prepared to fight that if we needed to, but we were able to get it resolved, and I'm glad we were. So
Right.
there are a lot of different disputes like that come up. And generally, I like to tell people if it's any legal issues regarding real estate, my firm can handle it. And we try to provide great customer service, try to give the clients assurance that they're going to be in good hands and take care of their needs.
Well said. So I imagine you deal with Chicago Title Company. They were like monsters. I mean, they're writing stuff in all over the country, man. Chicago Title. I didn't know how huge they were until I, was in the recovery industry.
Yeah, they're in Chicago Title has an office out here, so they are a title agent out here, and I do quite a bit with them as well.
Yeah, and that one of the examples you gave, just a personal experience. I was renting, and so we were there like 2 years, and over those 2 years, the property changed hands like 4 times. The management changed hands like 6 times. Like literally, we didn't know who to pay. Like I felt like a sham was being run. So I just stopped paying rent. But what I didn't do was trick off all the money. I stopped paying rent. They filed the eviction and all of that. So I show up to court. They have their lawyers. And the judge was pretty quick. You know how this stuff goes. Did you sign this contract, whatever? Yes. So what were your issues, Mr. Mills? I'm like, well, it was a bunch of disrepair, because when we moved in, they were fixing up the building and everything. But the repairs weren't happening. So I explained all of that. And then she's like, well, do you know who you pay now? I'm like, well, yes, these guys. And she's like, do you have the money? And I kept the 6 months, and
Good.
It wasn't in a trust. It was in my bank account. But I ended up coming out on top because I said I only got 4 months. And the other attorney just accepted that 4 months. So we got 2 months for free. I mean, you know what I mean?
Excellent.
Yeah. But
got over a little bit on that one.
Correct. But to your point, because I was watching one of the videos on your YouTube channel, I was like, the advice that you guys gave was the same thing that the judge was telling me, that I could have done. Basically you were saying like, understand the contract, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't really dig into the contract. I also noticed that when I'm signing things, whether it's for an apartment or whatever, the person on the other side of the table, self-love, is shocked that I'm reading the document. It's like they're shocked. This is a standard, this is just standard.
Right.
It's standard every day.
Form, it's a standard, yeah. It's
everybody signs it.
Form. Yeah. Just go ahead and sign that. It's standard. Yeah, come on.
I hear that a lot, particularly in timeshare presentations. Oh, it's standard. Just sign it. And those are the worst.
The worst.
And the residential,
and they're tough to collect on.
Yeah, the residential leases I find are not as egregious as the commercial leases, but both should still be read. You know, take your time and read them. And if you can afford to hire counsel, to, you know, spend an hour or two and hire an attorney to review them. And you may find that if the attorney reviews the document and you try to go to the landlord and get some stuff changed, the landlord may say, nope, this is my standard lease. At least you go in with your eyes open, knowing, okay, this, and this happens, I'm going to be in default. So at least I know it now. Whereas a lot of people that come see me, it's after the event and they didn't know what was in their lease at all.
Yeah.
That, like, yeah, they could do that. I mean, I had a call, not to veer too far off topic, but I had a call from a client 2 weeks ago, and they got into one of these long-term leases for a dance studio. And I recall during the negotiation of the lease, I warned them that the HVAC maintenance and repair was on them, which is common in commercial deals.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I said, get an inspection. If something goes bad, you know, you're going to be on the hook for it. And they told me, yeah, that's fine. And then sure enough, a year later,
They went bad.
Landlord's not treating us right. And, you know, there's not enough HVAC or not enough flow of air coming into the space. And we had a contractor look at it and we need a new HVAC unit. And can we get out of the lease now? There's no grounds or basis to get out of lease on that. Look at section 18. I have in my notes when I spoke to you guys, I specifically said, you're responsible for this. So I like to think the services I offer help a business person know what they're getting into, and they can go in feeling comfortable knowing the decision they're making about it.
So it's interesting that you became, you know, a realty attorney, and then also now you're on the entrepreneurial side. So it's kind of a two-part question. So as you were deciding what field of law to pursue, did you already have in your mind that you're going to also be an investor? So, like, you know, when did you know you were to become an entrepreneur? And then did the type of law that you selected have anything to do with what you had in your mind as far as, you know, pursuing real estate investments as on the investor side?
That's a great question. So I made my mind up to be an entrepreneur before becoming a real estate attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I was a young attorney practicing at a big firm in Chicago, I had the foresight to know that if I ever need to go hang a shingle and do my own work, I probably would do it in real estate because that's how wealth is created. I would like to know the ins and outs of how those deals are done. So I'm going to focus on that if I ever need to get into it. And I might as well, if I'm going to learn at a firm here, I want to learn in the real estate department. So that started my early career. And then when I made the decision to go out on my own, you know, the real estate attorney piece kind of came in hindsight, or not hindsight, but it was an afterthought, I could say, because after I left corporate America, I wrote a business plan to form a real estate company, the Nesbit Commercial Group, to do commercial brokerage. I hadn't really planned on doing law. I thought I might use law one of these days if I needed to, but my emphasis was going to be on doing commercial brokerage deals, helping clients sell, buy, and lease commercial real estate. And that's what I had in my mind. And then something told me, I did that in 2006, and then something told me, actually 2005. And as an afterthought, I said, well, let me sit for the bar exam out here in Colorado and get licensed here, just in case I want to practice law and I need it as a side hustle to make a little bit of money if things don't go well on the brokerage side. So I sat for the bar. That was a rough summer, 2006, after being out of law school for almost 15 years. Sat for the bar, passed the Colorado bar out here in 2006. And I tell people now that was probably one of the wisest decisions I made to get my license out here to practice law, because
no doubt
2008, the real estate market went south. And what saved me was the ability to do legal stuff, to practice law. And I was only doing 10% of it. But when the market went south and there weren't any deals to be had, I hit the pedal. I accelerated on my law practice and just started doing that. And that kept me afloat. And since that time, even when I think about, I've mentioned to my wife a couple of times, not recently, but I'll say, man, I think I'm just going to give up the law practice because it can be tedious and it's billing hours and, it can be kind of a grind. But the law practice keeps the lights on and it's steady income. Whereas the real estate brokerage company, if I hit some big deals there, I can travel and have, nice things and put money away for retirement. But the law practice has always been steady. So my entrepreneurial venture really started first with the real estate company and then with the law. And now I don't want to give either of them up because I had my best year ever with the real estate company last year, but I had a decent year on the legal side. And now I've got the infrastructure in place for the law firm to do well there. And I've been doing that on my own for 14, 15 years now. So that's been good as well. And to make my numbers work, I only need to bill 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week. I bill at $4.50 an hour is my rate. I've got some younger attorneys I bill out at $3.50 an hour. But if I bill 40 hours a month and those guys bill about 20 hours a month, it makes my numbers. I can pay for my assistants. I can pay for the rent. I rent out my office to my other company, my other company, and I can pay some of the other bills that I have. And then everything I'm doing on the brokerage side, the real estate company side, is just gravy, just trying to hit some big triples or home runs on that side, trying to do well. So that's kind of my motto. And then if that weren't enough, I've got this development project I'm doing now, which I'm really excited about. So I'm just juggling those three things and doesn't promote a good night of sleep, but it's the life I've chosen.
How many employees do you have?
I've got 4 employees. Yep.
So
I've got 3 attorneys on the legal side, and I've got a receptionist, and I've got a great woman who's been with me 10 years, who's my operations manager.
Okay. And then you outsource some, to independents, and then, they bill out at less and you get the extra.
Exactly.
It sounds like your legal, your practice and your entrepreneurial endeavors are bedfellows. Maybe the practice would be considered like the meat and potatoes, and then the entrepreneurial endeavors would be the gravy, if you will,
Yeah, but I look at the law practice as entrepreneurial as well, because it's my own law practice.
Facts.
So I'm not with the big firm. I have my own. Every year I budget what I need to make the numbers work. And in this case, if I do 2 hours a day at my hourly rate and my contract attorneys hit their numbers, it's not a bad year.
Correct.
And the other 4 or 5 hours a day is a different entrepreneurial pursuit of trying to find buyers who want to buy commercial real estate or sell commercial real estate. And then in the free time after that, it's trying to stay on top of this development project I'm doing. But the law practice is probably meat and potatoes from the standpoint of the phone, that part of the business. Any business is lead generation. We know that as entrepreneurs. And the legal side, I've got that so ramped up now and tuned in, the phone rings. So I don't have to do much
it's lowering your customer acquisition costs.
Yeah, the phone rings constantly.
Yeah.
I hired a brother who's a younger attorney who I'm able to farm some of that work out to. I bill him out at $350 an hour, pay him $250 an hour, and I make the $100 delta on work. And I finally found a brother. It was hard out here to find brother or sister who wanted to get into real estate law and who I felt could do a good job and so on. I want to train someone. I've always wanted to train someone because there's so few Black attorneys doing real estate in this town. So I finally got somebody I trust and so on. And I've got 2 other attorneys, white attorneys that are great. So they're reliable, they do the work. I oversee everything, and that model works. So that's a separate company. And
he's an overseer.
I'm just the overseer, but it's quality control.
Officer.
Yeah, it's quality control, and you want to make sure it's top-notch legal work.
Facts.
The fees that we're charging, and I think it is. And then, like I said, when I'm not doing that, I'm trying to find these $1 million real estate brokerage deals like I could go after.
And we're definitely going to get there. Yeah, that's interesting. It sounds a lot like what Dr. White is doing. Anthony White, he's grooming younger dentists, and so that he can, focus more of his time on the business itself, as opposed to, doing all of the cases,
Right.
Great dentist, by the way.
Man, awesome.
Charles Newman says, great advice. He says, man, my next lease will include Eric Nesbit. All right, self-love. I'm going to throw it to you, Noop.
All righty. If you explain to us the difference between commercial real estate and residential.
So a lot of different definitions for that. Generally, residential is defined, and I like to kind of frame it by the different loans that are available. So for residential properties, it's generally 4 units or less, single family properties, a duplex, a triplex, even a 4-unit building. Those for loan purposes are deemed to be residential properties. Some of those are income properties, i.e. the 2-flat or the duplex or the triplex, whereas 5 units or above are considered to be commercial real estate. And commercial real estate properties are generally income producing properties, and the emphasis is on what cash flow you're going to get out of those properties. What are they going to kick off in cash and income and expenses, and what return you can get on those properties. So there's less of an emotional tie to those properties. We're less concerned about how they look and curb appeal, et cetera. Whereas with residential properties, much more emotional. Generally, you've got young families looking to buy homes, or families that have bought homes and looking to kind of step into commercial might buy an income producing property that still qualifies as a residential property because it's under 5 units. But commercial property, generally what I think about when I talk about commercial properties is income producing asset.
No doubt. So,
and one more point on that, Tori. And then a lot of people clump in, they just think commercial real estate is just kind of monolithic or just one category. There's a lot of subcategories of that.
Yeah.
So you got office property, which you want to be in one of those properties right now, because at least in the Denver market, you're seeing vacancies in the 25% or greater because people aren't going back to the office. You've got, on the flip side of that, you've got industrial properties with all the great stuff we're seeing. I don't know if I would call it great, but e-commerce and the use by retailers of these e-commerce platforms requires a lot of warehouse space and distribution and logistics space. So that's a hot area of the market. You've got multifamily, which is a different segment of commercial, which is another hot area now because homes are more expensive to get into now, which is going to raise rents for multifamily. And people don't have the ability to buy homes because of the higher interest rates and the demand for property now. So you've got that, and then you've got retail. So different segments of the commercial real estate market that people have to think about when they want to delve into it.
No doubt. No doubt. Thank you. That was on point, and let us know where we at. On that note, how would one embark upon commercial real estate investing?
So I've thought about that question, and I think someone that is looking to get into commercial real estate now should look at opportunities in multifamily. That's a healthy area to get into. Housing prices are rising, interest rates are rising. There's been a slowdown in homes being constructed, at least in the Colorado market and around most of the country. I'm sure it's the same in Illinois as well. But I think the multifamily market would be great to get into. And there obviously are a lot of those properties in the Chicagoland area, from 5 units like I bought back in the day, all the way up to 40 or 50 or 100 unit buildings there. And so if I were looking to do something, I would explore a multifamily property. And one trick or strategy I would suggest to those of you out there looking to get into it, obviously, if you go to a bank, you're going to be looking at some pretty expensive money to borrow on that type of purchase. If you find owners of multifamily properties that are interested in selling and motivated to sell, but may not be getting the level of interest from potential buyers because of the slowdown in the economy and the higher interest, approach those owners and see if they would be willing to do a owner carry. And an owner carry is where that owner would serve as the bank and give you, for lack of a better word, a mortgage on the property. So let's play it out real quick. So let's say there's a $200,000, you approach an owner of a property on the south side that wants to sell a 6 unit for $200,000. And they've had it on the market a while and no interested parties because interest rates are now 7% for commercial properties. Well, you can approach that owner and say, look, I'm going to give you 10% down. So I'll give you $20,000 now as a down payment. And then why don't you be the bank for me? And the remaining 180, let's do a mortgage, a 25 or 30-year mortgage that balloons or that is payable in 5 years, and give me an interest rate of about 7%. And that will benefit the seller in that they're not going to get hit with a lot of capital gains right off the top at the transaction. And it gives them the ability to enter into a transaction where the demand is probably less because of interest rates now. And then it gives the buyer the ability to approach a seller and not have to deal with all the red tape and issues we have to deal with as Black folks trying to get commercial loans. So that would be an approach that I would take on right now. There's a lot of, at least in Colorado, and I'm sure it's the same in Illinois, there's a temperature now and a willingness of sellers to consider owner carry. If they can get some money up front and they can spread out the payments. Now, this may not apply if there's already debt on the property, because obviously that debt needs to be paid off. But there might be a situation where you can assume the debt on the property, not to get too complicated with the analysis, but assume that debt. But so think outside the box, I would say, in terms of opportunities, approach sellers. And I did that on my property in Beverly. I remember, I think it was a $300,000 purchase at the time. And I think I went to Beverly Bank and got the first mortgage, but I think I needed 20% down or 25% down. And Beverly Bank was only willing to give maybe 80% or 75% of the value of the property. And then I had the seller give a second mortgage for like 30,000, paid him off over time. So think creatively about financing, particularly in a climate where interest rates are rising like we have now.
Yeah, I would suggest if you take that route that he just suggested, which was great advice, to you definitely want to once you and the owner come to an agreement, hire yourself an attorney, retain an attorney,
Better have an attorney.
look over the details and all of the legalese. This brother right here was able to, probably construct his own contract with the owner and make it make sense. Would you suggest, because I know you said, okay, so start with a, a 5-unit or something.
Single family.
Right. So you would suggest, starting somewhere like that, before like embarking upon like one of those strip malls or anything of that nature?
If you can do a strip mall or a retail center,
yeah,
you might want to do that. You've really got to do your due diligence on it and make sure, again, we're in a climate now where retail is suffering a little bit, not as much as it was during COVID, but you've got to really consider a lot with those strip centers. You've got to look at the strength of those tenants. Do you have a Starbucks in one of these strip malls, or is it a ma and pa just selling
something that I can get off Amazon?
Yeah.
Right.
So you got to evaluate the strength of those leases, and you've got to buy it at the right price, and you've got to see whether there's enough term left on all those tenant leases to have it make sense. But I'm not opposed to going that route if the deal is right, if the price is right, if the net operating income that center is kicking off, if you feel that the tenants will make it through hard times and continue paying rent, and you've got guarantees, personal guarantees perhaps from some of the tenants who are ma and pa owners, that might not be a bad way to go either. But the issue there is you've got to have the capital. So most lenders are going to they used to want 20% down on those deals, sometimes 25% down. And with the higher interest rates now, and there's a debt service ratio they want to get on each month's note, they want to make sure that debt service ratio is at 125% or something like that. Again, not to get too off into that, but considering all of those issues, now I'm hearing that most lenders want 30 or 40% down. So that's, a $2 million, $3 million strip center, and you've got to come up with $70,000, $80,000.
Yeah.
So there might be barriers to entry there, but if you can do it, and if the numbers make sense, then by all means, look at it.
Fair enough.
Brother Mills, I made a mistake. One of the mistakes I made in my earlier career is I bought a 17-unit apartment building out here in Denver before I bought the property in Beverly, and I thought I was the man. I was like, I bought this thing. I used some city money to help me get into it, and I didn't do a very good job of looking at some of the deferred maintenance issues. So there was roof issues, there were foundation issues, and I was so hyped with the thought of buying it. I think it was like $700,000-$800,000. I was so hyped, just thinking it's next to the new hospital that they're building, kind of a crummy area, but I thought it's going to come back.
Gentrifying, yeah.
Worst mistake I made, because I bought it and I didn't do a thorough investigation or inspection of some of those deferred maintenance. And I had to pay for a lot of those when I got into it. And the roof started leaking, and the furnace needed to be repaired.
That's all major. I've worked for contractors, man. That's a money trap. Roofing, foundation, and furnace.
Yeah, all those issues. So long story short, I gave that property back to the lender. I just said, I wiped my hands of it and I defaulted, so that was a lesson I learned. So I bring that up to say, you can't fall in love with a lot of these properties. You got to really look at it. You got to do your due diligence, your inspection. You got to make sure it's going to cash flow. In the event of the worst case scenario, it's going to cash flow. That's how you got to look at a lot of these deals.
I guess it's like looking at a female in the Kappa house, Brother Wordsmith, and it's 4 a.m. It's like, why is she still sitting here? And you go say something and her breath smells like poo, but I'm going to throw it to you, bro. Big ups to everybody in the Kappa house.
What are some of the do's and don'ts? I mean, you were kind of speaking upon it, the mistakes, but
so inspections are critical with commercial property. So don't rely when you're buying a personal residence. You might just rely on one inspector to look at everything. On the commercial side, you may rely on 3 or 4 different inspectors. You want the roof inspected. You want the building systems inspected. Environmental issues are always a play in commercial real estate. So you have to get a thorough environmental inspection, which is called a phase 1 or phase 2 report done. And I just want to make sure the structural integrity is sound. So those are all things that you have to take a close look at when buying. I would say that's important. And then the net operating income of the property is critical as well. And you want to do an analysis looking at all the income that's being brought in by the property, less all the operating expenses. And whatever the client or whatever the seller's charging for that, you take the net operating income divided by the sale price, and that's going to give you what's called a cap rate. And again, we don't have time to get into the dynamics of that, but it's a way to really compare what you're buying. If you're buying building A and it has a 6% cap rate, let's say, and then the building across the street sold earlier in the year for a 7% cap rate, then you're probably not making the right decision in buying it because it's not kicking off enough net operating income. So cap rate is a comparative measure used by commercial real estate investors to determine if they're buying at the right price. And to use that same example, if you're buying building A, if building A is listed for X amount and it's a 6% cap rate, you might want to do the algebra, the math on that to get it up to a 7% cap rate. And that's going to be the price you want to buy it at. So cap rate, a lot of investors use that as a tool to determine where they need to be. And the cap rate fluctuates depending on what neighborhood you're in and what's sold in the area. So I would say, Tori, inspection, and evaluate the financials, the net operating income of the property to see what kind of income it's kicking out. And if it's comparative in a favorable way to what other properties have sold for in the area.
And to any kids out there, when he says cap rate, he's not talking about the rate of lies you tell. All right. This is no cap here, so everybody knows. And we're sitting here exploring commercial realty and development opportunities with Eric L. Nesbit. He's of the law offices of Eric L. Nesbit. I did pin the link to his law firm. He can practice in Colorado and also the great state of Illinois. Big ups to Sharuka Israel is in the building. Appreciate your support as always. Okay, so we're talking commercial realty and development opportunities. I mean, you can answer this question either way you feel, whether it's going to be, personal opportunities that, maybe you're looking for investors on, or just in general, or more on a macro level. What types of opportunities are out there for the commercial investor? And I say that to say, so, I've done all of my cap rate analysis and I've had my, roofing specialist and my foundation guy, do their inspections and everything checks. If all these boxes are checking, I find that, those sweet deals are, there's a lot of sharks, who want those same deals. So if you could speak on the types of opportunities that are out there to stuff a bag, and what's the differentiator, like cost of getting customers, like what separates me, like how do we get there first, when you find those deals? I know there's no magic pill, but it seems like there's a lot of competition out there is what I'm saying. So what type of opportunities out there, and if you can weigh that versus, the competition for those deals?
Well, I would go back again to I'm a believer in multifamily housing. I think that's always been a good area to be in. It's how I got started. So even if it means, maybe you don't have the money, $100,000 to put into a 5 or 6 unit, maybe you don't have that, but maybe you're in a home now and you can buy a 2 unit or 2 flat, and you can put the money into that. I would say do that, because again, housing prices are going up. You're going to get the benefit of a property that hopefully cash flows at a decent level, and you get the appreciation as well. So I really like housing opportunities, particularly in the climate that we're in, with lack of housing and rising interest rates. And you're going to see more people priced out of the home market, and they're going to have
So you got to live somewhere.
You got to live somewhere. So I love that if you can get into that space, and if you can't, shoot for the moon and buy a 10 unit, start slow, like in Monopoly. Buy a house, rent it out, then maybe flip that to a 2 unit, then maybe flip that to a 6 unit. So I would do that. If you have the capital and you can do something greater than that, then look at more units or look at industrial or retail properties. The strip center you were mentioning, Brother Mills, that might not be a bad way to go either if you can buy it right. All these assume you can buy it right. It's got to be you've got to be in a position where you can reason with the seller, and you're not buying on from an emotional play, but the numbers make sense. It's at a cap rate that's commensurate with what your neighborhood that the property's trading in. So that's what you look at. I would look at, you could find a real estate broker that has the pulse of what's going on with multifamily housing or retail or commercial property. I would look at that and see if you can kind of build a relationship with a person like that. And if you don't want to work with the broker, and if you have enough hunger and drive, you can start calling these owners of properties directly. That's what a lot of real estate agents are going to do anyway. So you can look at the Secretary of State's site or the assessor site and find out who the owners of these properties are and start cold calling them and gauge their interest in whether they want to sell their property or not, and explore it that way. And that is probably, to your point, Brother Mills, that's probably the great equalizer in terms of competition. If you're able to generate, again, we're in a lead generation game. So if you can generate leads from sellers who might want to sell, and I would argue, it's one thing for me to call, and I don't do a lot of cold calling. I used to, never really enjoyed it, but it's one thing for me to call an owner of a 6 unit and say, hey, I may have some buyers that are interested in buying your property. Are you interested in selling? Can I have your listing? I've got this track record of selling these type of properties. That's cool. I might, out of 20 calls, I may have 1 or 2 people that are interested. It's quite a different approach if you are calling for your own account and you're able to say, I want to buy this property. I've looked at it. Do you have any interest in selling? What's your price? Let's talk. And that's probably more of a compelling, warm call than coming from a real estate professional.
Absolutely. And, timing is everything too. You have cats, for whatever reason, it could be health. Maybe they're looking to retire and they just want to cash out. and you never
Right.
know until you pick up the phone. I mean, I'm sure you call people and they're like, man, I was just talking to my wife or my business associate about moving this property. You know what I mean? And now you called them, you know.
Yeah. And I don't want to give you the impression that I like doing it, because I hate cold calling.
Yeah.
You know, I had to do it early on to try to generate some business, and I kind of work my network of people who are looking for commercial real estate needs or wants. So that's kind of how I made my way. But I think it's a different approach and a different response if it's coming directly from an investor.
Facts.
You speak to, I've got my eye on your property, any interest in selling. And again, the market is cooled a bit because interest rates, nobody wants to get a loan at 7 or 8%. So if you can talk to a seller that is interested in selling and then persuade them to maybe do some seller financing, I think you're on your way. That's probably the best piece of advice I can give to the people out there looking to get into the business or invest in some way.
Well, that's great advice. And if you don't have the gift of gab, or you can do both, consecutively, we can walk and chew gum. Another thing you mentioned was go ahead and hire a broker. People who are already, in the game, who are getting paid to, find these properties. They're motivated to match investors with sellers, things of that nature.
Yep. Yeah. Brokers, and I'm a broker, obviously, so I don't want to talk disparaging about brokers. I think we do a great job in representing people, but there are those investors out there that don't like working with brokers. But a broker worth their salt will be able to identify opportunities. It just may put you in the same competition pool with everyone else. To your point, Brother Mills, you're talking to, if you've got a broker that's able to get some pocket listings, i.e. listings that haven't hit the MLS yet, that's what you're looking for, somebody that can bring those opportunities.
All right. And this is great stuff, you guys. This is really great stuff. And we definitely appreciate this brother. I mean, he's billing at $450 an hour, and self-love, we ain't paid a dime. So we definitely appreciate this. And before I go to the next question, I do want to remind Yes. So the information provided on this show today is not intended to constitute legal advice or financial advice. Instead, all information, content, and materials available on today's show are for general informational purposes only. Information on today's show may not constitute the most up-to-date legal or financial or other information. So we always advise you guys, do your due diligence. Please consult with your own personal attorney or a financial advisor prior to pulling the trigger on deals or making these decisions. In other words, you're on your own out there, don't send me a bill because you get Nathan. All right. Those are my words, not anyone else's. All right. Tucci, what do you know now professionally in the real estate game that you may have loved to have known, let's say, 35 years ago?
Oh, that's a great question. I probably, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have bought something earlier than when I did. I mean, I think I bought my first property 4 years out of law school, which isn't bad, but I probably would have got into the game earlier and bought something right out of law school and just kind of got onto the wave a little bit sooner. I think a better answer for you and more general answer is when I was a young professional, sometimes you're shy and you don't want to reach out to people and you don't feel that you should be aggressive or assertive with your mentors or people you want to be your mentors. And now as I kind of sit in a mentor role and I know that I really like young people I meet who are aggressive, call me out of the blue, assertive, don't take no for an answer. I love that. And I wish I had some of that when I was coming up. And I always thought, kind of had this feeling in my mind that I was bothering people when I would call them or seek their advice. But now as an older guy, being in the game a while and having my own practice and being kind of what I like to think a go-getter, I love that when I see it in younger people. So I would say for the young people out there, be assertive, be aggressive. It's kind of in our blood as Chicago folks anyway, for those of you that are out there, and go for what you think you want. And I think most older peers or colleagues will appreciate that. They will appreciate the tenacity, particularly in an environment like we have where you've got kids that don't want to work and the millennials. You would set yourself apart if you just have some of that tenacity and that assertiveness. You really would set yourself apart. I don't see that much in the younger kids, black or white. And when you see it, you take something like, wow, I want this person.
So I think what he's saying is he wish he would have jumped off the porch in the real estate game, the commercial real estate game earlier, So if there's anybody out there who has jumped off the porch and might be a lumpen proletariat and you're making that money, it might be time to, start investing that money in other ways. And so this is for, if I can turn back time, we're going to cut it off though.
You better cut it off.
Yeah, that's share. They're going to ding us.
Yeah. They might stop the live or that.
But that was if I could turn back time. And I hear you. Hindsight is 2020. But I appreciate you sharing that, because that's almost like giving up a secret sauce.
Yep.
And I've heard that before, from real estate investors too. All right. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to self-love here. And you guys like, share, subscribe. Please like, share, subscribe.
What do you know now professionally?
No, the next one.
I don't have that.
Are you checking your text messages? You're not checking your text messages? You're not getting these alerts? I just sent you.
I didn't get that.
You have to have it. Okay, I'll do it. Yeah. Discuss any projects that you're working on. I know you were mentioning your developmental project that you're working on right now. So if you could please, talk about that project you're working on, because these are lessons, not lessons, not lectures. And then if maybe, because we have great people in the Empire and also in our chat. That's the Greater Beta Empire, who might be looking for investments and things like that. So let's talk about some projects you're working on, and if you might be looking for investors.
So I'm really excited about my first development project. It's an apartment building that I'm developing in a city just north of Denver called Commerce City. And it's an affordable housing project that is, we've titled it SP Crossing Apartments, which is South Platte Crossing Apartments. And it's going to be a 60-unit apartment building with 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units in it. Deep affordability from 30% of area median income all the way up to 80%. So an income averaging mix where tenants that are below the area median income will be able to be eligible to receive, to occupy the property. And I hope to break ground on that property in June of this year. And it's directly across the street from the RTD, which is our equivalent of CTA, Regional Transit District light rail line, which is 2 stops away from the Union Station, which is downtown Denver. So
yeah,
really exciting for me. There's my co-developer on the project is a group called Renshaw, which is a a firm out of Chicago, actually, and they have about 80 of these projects around the country. And I was introduced to them when I was looking for someone to team with, because as a new developer, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get the money to do it on my own. So found a good partner in those guys. And we have, there's a program called low-income housing tax credits. And again, I won't go too deep on it, but it's a way that the federal government adopted a program where they motivate and incentivize wealthy individuals to invest in low-income housing projects and give them a tax credit. They can buy tax credits to invest in these to offset their regular income. And so it's very competitive. And on this particular project, it's probably looking at about $23 million in costs. And we were issued tax credits by the state of Colorado to the tune of just under 13 million. So that's a fusion of equity into the project. And then the Department of Housing gave us a grant for about 4 million. And then we got 3.5 million we got from the Office of Economic Development in Colorado. So most of the all of the sources for the financing and the costs, we've raised all those sources and still have to get some loans to help out with the construction and so on. But that's exciting. It's a direct realization and direct idea I had from seeing all the cranes and the building going up in Denver and Colorado and realizing no one that looks like me that I know of is doing this. And so going back again to our Frat Brothers book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? I said, well, damn, I could be a developer too. I can do that. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
But
figure it out.
I could figure it out. And there's a great Chicago guy, a buddy of mine who runs an organization called Urban Land Conservancy here in town. And he's from Evanston, and a white guy who's been a real good friend of mine, and his company's a client. And he's always been talking to me about getting into development and doing something with his organization. And they own the ground. So we're going to build on their ground. And I'm doing a long-term ground lease with his organization. We own the improvements on top of the ground. So really exciting. And this project checks a couple of boxes for me. It gets me into development, which is experience I've been looking to get into. It has the potential of helping out people in the community. The demand for affordable housing and the lack of that affordable housing in our space here in Colorado. It has the propensity to leave a legacy play for my 2 teenage sons, who, if they wanted to get into development, they can hopefully go to law school or MBA school and kind of fall into that business if they so choose down the road. It creates net worth for me and my family by obtaining a very lucrative development fee that I'll receive on the deal, as well as owning a portion of a $23 million apartment building. So it's been hard getting here. And a lot of the, as a newbie to development, a lot of the stuff is over my head. And I just sit on the calls like this, like I don't know what they're talking about, but I like to think I'm a quick learner, and I'm always there. I'm present. I'm at all the meetings and asking what I think are important questions, and I'm involved. And you got to learn somewhere. So the next project, I'll know more than I knew this project. And it was really, there's a brother in Chicago who developed some stuff in Roseland, Leon Walker. And you guys may or may not know that name. He's developed some stuff in
it sounds familiar to me.
Roseland. And we were at a real estate conference in Las Vegas, and he was telling me about all he was doing in Chicago. And I said, shit, I could do that.
If he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, if he can do it. So I really he's responsible. He was a catalyst for me thinking about, well, let me figure out a way to do that out here. And that was 3 or 4 years ago. And here I am about to develop this project, and God is good, you know?
Greatest
God is greater. And you know, I want to give you a yo on all of your achievements, you know, totally magnificent. You know, you made a point about, you know, the government grants, things of this nature. You know, when at some point over the last like 4 years, when white folks would ask me, well, what do you need or what can I do to help? It sounds like the government is kind of on this, but I would always say, you know, no one wants your handout to your charity. But, you know, you guys are always looking for tax breaks. You know, what would stop one from starting a business or investing in, you know, residential real estate in a shithole neighborhood, for lack of a better term? Maybe, you know, maybe investing in a restaurant and having a brother there, you know, operate it and be part owner. You might lose some money. I know people hate to lose money, but then there's your tax write-off. And a lot of them thought that through. I'm like, you know, invest in these communities. You know, let's not wait on the government to do it. It's nice when we can get it, but invest in these communities, and that would be the best charity that I think you can do, you know, for the community in the best way you can help at this point.
Well said. I wholeheartedly agree. And I mean, to touch on what you said about the government programs, I was strategic about that, Brother Mills, in knowing that I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to do a development project. Not only do I know development, I mean, I know it tangentially from being a real estate attorney and have worked on some projects just from the legal perspective, but being a developer, I didn't know anything about that, let alone have the money to get into it. But I knew there was all this money out there in affordable housing. So I was opportunistic. And knowing that there aren't people that look like me in this market doing those projects. And I think I'm smart enough and have enough experience as a real estate attorney and as a commercial broker. It seemed like a natural kind of next step for me. So, and I thought the money was there. There would be money there to do it. And we didn't get the grants the first go around when we applied, but when we applied the second go around, I had faith that it would ultimately come because the site is too good. Right across the street from a rail station. The city was very in favor of having it constructed. So I'm really proud of that. And I hope that, you know, take some money from that and just apply it to whatever the next deal I decide to do. But more of us need to be in those spaces. And I've just had building blocks from, you know, it started with the 17 unit, which I didn't do well on, and then the Beverly property, and then the Beverly property to the properties I bought out here. So you gain experience doing all those transactions, even the ones that don't go the way you expect them to go.
Yeah, we often say, you know, first you get the knowledge, like, you know, now they're throwing this information at you on your new adventure, but then some of the experience you had, it leads to understanding by the doing part, right? And then the more you're doing, that leads to the wisdom, you know, where now, you know, you're completely in the game. So
it's the fail forward process, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can learn a huge lesson that's never repeated from failure. So
I learned a lot pledging through failure.
Me too.
Oh, well, yes.
failure, those are the stepping stones to success.
Yeah.
If you don't give up on yourself.
That's right.
So I taught you some of those lessons.
All right, lessons, not lectures. So all right, anything we haven't covered in this space that we should unpack, because I want to jump into the esoteric questions as we wrap it up.
I would just conclude this area just talking about the importance of building net worth, which has always been a key motivator to me. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to say I'm money driven. I'm God fearing, but I've made a pact with God that if I'm blessed with abundance and can do things, and He blesses me with the ability to do some of these different ventures I've been doing, I will do what I can to give back to people through financial means, through knowledge, et cetera. So we as Black people, we need to be finding ways to bridge that net worth gap. And we are in a capitalistic society. And one of the reasons that I've gotten out of, corporate America is great for some people. I always felt like it would put a cap on my ability to be my best and my ability to earn. So although I've chosen a hard road to go down, and it's been entrepreneurship is a tough path, if you stick with it and you believe in yourself. And there were many nights I didn't believe in myself. I laid in bed thinking, shit, this is hard. I had a supportive wife, still have a supportive wife who she's the regular corporate person and has stayed in that world, and she believed in me.
Yeah, the pole mark in the exchequer, but go ahead.
Yeah, my mom believed in me, and it's finally beginning. It's been paying off for the last few years, but it hasn't been easy. People think it's easy, but it's not easy. And but I love building net worth. Gives you the ability to have control and do what you want, travel when you want to travel, take off when you want to take off, even though I don't have the time to do that a lot now, but I like the control that it gives you over your life. So, that we need, as Black folks, we need to be focused on ways we can build net worth. And as you guys pointed out early in the segment or in the show, there's really no better way to do it than real estate. It's a great way to do it. If you got to get into the dance and let it take you where it takes you.
Self-love, is that a T-shirt for Tory you're wearing? Is that your sweatshirt? Is that a capital T? Let me see what that. All right. That's a nice joint too.
Yeah, my ship gave it to me. J Money, Julian Morris.
All right, Anchor. All right, so we're gonna jump on the esoteric questions here. We don't let anyone out of here without these, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And remember, your kids will be listening to this at some point. So
perpetuity.
This one's called the Self-Love Time Machine. So imagine if Tory had a time machine and he was able to, take you back in time. And he took you back to your 9th birthday. You're sitting at the dining room table with your dad and your mom, your cousins, whoever, siblings. And they say, okay, Eric, make a wish. Oh, this Siri is so annoying. Make a wish and blow out the candles. And so your 9-year-old self literally makes a wish to see your 57-year-old self in the flesh. So now time is suspended. No one else can see the 57-year-old you standing at the table. What advice would you give to your 9-year-old self?
Wow. I would tell my 9-year-old self that you're going to face some struggles and challenges in life, particularly in your interpersonal experiences with your father and dealing with other people as you grow up. But just continue to believe in yourself and stay the course, and things are going to be all right at the end of the day, and you're going to do fine. So I don't have a lot. I really, in my current space and where I sit now, I really don't have a lot of things I regret. and I feel blessed every day. I live a wonderful life, and blessed with a wonderful wife and 2 kids. And again, everything's not perfect, but I don't think I would change anything. I harken back to you guys referenced in the promo the evil ass Nez moniker that I had. I wasn't the nicest to scrollers and pledges coming.
Yeah, you need to tell your 9-year-old self that. I mean, brother Mark Daniels has told me some things about you, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I think you were his purse, or he was your purse. But go ahead, brother Nez. We're not going to talk about it on this live forum.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I would ease up a bit on that, but a lot of that is just kind of the way I was raised, and be against the world, and just tough exterior skin. So I would ease up a bit, I would say.
Hey, that's fair enough, and don't get caught lacking on the 63rd Street bus on your way to Limblom. You know what I mean? Don't wear your good stuff. Yeah. All right. So go ahead and recommend a book for the Self-Love Nation.
I've talked about the book already, but I would look at Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? Our Capper brother, Reginald Lewis, who's passed away, and he's the first Black billionaire before our other brother, Robert Johnson. Yeah.
Oh, really? All right.
I take that back. I'm not sure, but I know.
No, I've heard that.
Lewis bought Beatrice Foods back in the day.
Yeah,
I've heard that too.
My research says that he was the first.
I don't want to misquote or give any bad facts.
Information, no doubt.
But one of those two are the first Black billionaires, and either one of them are noobs. So
right, and one of them's a beta noob.
Chapter,
One of them's a beta noob.
So all right. So that book is definitely on my list. Can you recommend a Black-owned restaurant anywhere on the globe for us to try?
That's a hard one because we don't have really one I enjoy out here in Colorado. Actually, there's one, and she's a client of mine. So there's a place called Mawa's Cafe in Aspen. And when Charlie New was out here for the Black Ski Summit, not this year, but last year, we tried her out and the food was great. She was trained in France, and her and her husband opened up the restaurant in Aspen a few years ago, and they were renting their building, and she learned I was a real estate attorney after she met me, and they put in an offer to buy their building, and I was their lawyer on the deal. So I was Mawa's Cafe in Aspen, Colorado, near the airport.
Okay, that's what's
She's a Nigerian sister.
That's fair enough. Because it's Black owned. If I was in Aspen once, passing through, traveling from LA to Chicago, but we were right around where you had to turn up. I saw the signs like to Aspen, but
oh, you did?
Yeah, don't know if I'm gonna eat at a place in a town called Aspen, but teach his own, choose the mobile phone. All right. All right. So these are the yes, no questions. Brother Nesbit, is there a God?
Yes.
Have you ever personally seen anything that you would consider supernatural?
I can't recall that. No, I don't think so.
Have you ever seen an unidentified aerial phenomenon?
No.
Have you ever seen an alien?
No.
Did human beings ever walk on the moon at any time or during the Apollo program?
Yes.
Here's our magic box question. Imagine if it's yes or no. Imagine if self-love had a beautiful magic box made out of some oak wood. You might have gotten it from Keeler's, beautiful wood, maybe acacia wood even. And it's got a singular, crimson button on the top of this box. God forbid that a person whom you would have the most difficulty living without contracted a rare, painful, terminal illness that they were suffering from dearly. I mean, screaming out in pain, and the pain pills aren't working no more. And death was imminent by all the king's horses and all the king's men, best doctors. Nobody can do anything about it. You're just watching this person suffer. Now, what if self-love informed you that, Brother Nesbit, all you need to do is to press that crimson button and your loved one would be 100% cured, out of pain. But there's always a genie in a bottle. But some person, a random person who you do not know, would never meet, would then suffer the exact same fate as your beloved. Eric L. Nesbit, your grandkids are listening, your great-great-great-grandkids. Do you press the button?
No.
Interesting. Now, it's a yes/no question, but why don't you press the button?
Because it's God ordained. It's his or her time. And I wouldn't want to put that pain and suffering on someone else when we all have our time to go. And that is, if I have a loved one that's suffering like that, as much as I would hate to miss him or her, it's God has ordained that that's their time to go, and I would be at peace with it as much as possible.
Yeah, I used to ask that question when I was rolling for Uber, and I swear it's 50-50. Like self-love and I, we've been on the different sides of this coin. There is no wrong or right answer. That's why we want to ask. But I will say, yeah, self-love would push that button in a heartbeat, But I can hear evil Nez. That's the evil Nez. Suck it up. Suck it up. You'll be all right.
Hey,
Suck it up.
I've got little people. He don't. I have children, and he don't.
Nez got kids though. You know what I mean?
Right. He's got principle.
I mean, like I said, we don't debate. There's no wrong answer.
Right. No, he's got principle. I've got children, and there is no debate.
Yeah. We've got cats who like Tori said, they push the button before I finish answering the question. They're like,
yeah.
All right. So here we go. What is the meaning of life?
Well, this is going to sound odd coming from Evil As Nez, as you guys remember me being called, but the meaning of life is love and relationships and caring about your fellow man and developing relationships with the loved ones you have. So I think that's at its essence is what life is about.
Man, that was well said. Yeah, that's well said. I got to start doing
that coming from me. I've mellowed and matured a lot since my U of I days. So
yeah, I would add the meaning of life is mellow and maturity. I've mellowed and matured a lot too, brother.
All of us, because man, we were beta noops on U of I campus, and I know we wreak havoc.
I'm a domesticated animal now. Brother Newman said the first Black billionaire conglomerate, maybe not necessarily personal wealth for Brother Lewis. That's what he was saying to the question of who's the first Black billionaire.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah, I think it's Reginald Lewis.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. So now, before we do your shout outs and your big ups, we're going to play the self-love arc, and the story of Noah's Ark. You had to grab a pair of, male, female of each animal to get them on the ark to save them. So what we're going to do is throw you a pair of items. All we're asking you to do is to pick the item that resonates with you the most. Got to get it done in 60 seconds. One thing I will add to the instructions on the game is that you can pass up to 2 times. So you can select one or you can pass. If you pass more than 2 times, it's considered a loss. You lost the game, right? And then for each one that you do answer successfully, you get a point. All right. You got any questions about the game?
So it's a Noah's Ark game, and I'm picking the animals that I want on the ark.
Well, you pretty much, but you're picking the one animal that you would choose. So we're going to give you a pair of things. It might be like bologna and liverwurst, and whichever one you want to choose, you'll say bologna in that instance.
Okay.
You know, or you could pass.
Resonation.
Yeah, or you. Right. All right. So I'm going to get the timer going here. All righty. Remember, you can pass up to 2 times without losing the game. I don't think we've had anyone lose the game yet, but we've come considerably close. All right, so I got the timer ready. Here we go. Johnny Cochran or Thurgood Marshall?
Thurgood.
Michael Jackson or Prince?
Michael Jackson.
Anarchy or tyranny?
Anarchy.
Meditation or prayer?
Prayer.
Barack Obama, Michelle Obama?
Barack.
Oath-breaking police officer or a carjacking Pookie?
Carjacking Pookie.
Interesting. Yeah. Especially since he was getting jammed up by those folks off from Harper.
These are people I would keep, right?
Yes, exactly. All right. Okay. LeBron James, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, number 23. Jay. Who'd you say?
Jay. Oh, Jay.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, he did that. Michelle. Oh, wait a minute. Why is this on here twice? We did Michelle and Barack. Hold on. We got some problems, but don't worry about it. Malcolm X or MLK?
Oh God, I'm gonna go with MLK. That's a tough one. I'll pass on that one. Actually, pass on that.
You're gonna pass on that one? All right, he's gonna pass on that. Okay, all right, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, refund the police or defund the police?
Defund.
Okay. All right. Harold's Chicken or Uncle Remus?
Harold's.
All day. He's so sad.
Southside. Yeah.
Have you ever had Uncle Remus?
I have not. So that was it.
All right. Bishop T.D. Jakes or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir.
All right, we got the last one here. He's only got one pass, so you can still pass. Elder Watson Diggs or the Honorable Earl Beta, some say Burris, Dickerson.
Pass.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's interesting coming from Evil. I mean, what did Charlie New answer? I think what did Charlie New, if you're out there, what did you answer on that question? I don't think we've had a beta noob say Diggs, and he may have been the first pass. I'm not sure what Brother Newman said.
That's a hard one there.
I think he's a first pass. I think it's not hard for me. But
you think Newman passed?
No.
I think he's the first pass. Yes, on that question. Yes.
What have most noobs said?
Most Dickerson. Beta noobs. Yeah, they've almost all said Dickerson. Yeah.
I'm not sure about Diggs.
Newman said he said Diggs. Newman said he said Diggs.
Dickerson without Diggs.
I feel you, but I understand that. We don't debate.
No debate.
But you won't have Kappa Alpha. You won't have Kappa Alpha Psi without Dickerson. Yeah, I'm trying to say.
True.
Man, that was wonderful.
Or Beta. It would be no Beta without Dickerson.
Yeah, they were the Ilio Club, or was that what it was?
Yeah.
All right.
Eli Club.
Yeah. You're right. Brother Newman was he was animate about that. Yeah, it was the Eli.
Not the Ilio. It was the Eli Club.
You're right. All right. So we played our big game, Good Noob. And any shout outs or big ups that you want to give?
Well, I want to first start by thanking you, good brothers, for having me on the show. I've enjoyed the experience and honored to be invited to participate. I want to shout out all the noobs of Kappa Alpha Psi Beta chapter, the Beta chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi. It is to say that I was made and a part of the Beta chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi is one of the best accomplishments I've had in my life. And the brotherhood, and fellowship,
myself as well.
Brothership and the fellowship that I've enjoyed and what I had to endure to become a Beta noob has made me the man I am today. So Kappa is in my blood, and definitely my indoctrination at the Beta chapter is definitely runs through me, and I'm very proud of it. Some may say in Colorado, I'm too proud of it because I tend to be a little bit snobby in my Kappa because I'm a Beta noob, you know. So,
that's way. I mean,
I can't help it. I am what I am. So I got made at the Greater Beta chapter, single letter, baby, yo.
Yo. And it is what it is. And can't say that. So
Mo Beta Blues.
shout out to all those brothers that were on the yard with me. It's too many to name, but you guys know who you are. And TC Kaysen is the one that always comes to mind.
Our club.
For,
the diabolical TC Kaysen.
Diabolical TC Kaysen. So and then obviously Charlie Newt, thank you for sitting in the whole time. Charlie's one of my favorite noobs. Call him Charlie Newt. He's a quintessential noob.
Yes, he is. I sat with him yesterday. We was at
all green. He's a great brother. So we are part of a wonderful bond, and I couldn't think of any better fraternity to be in, and again, Kappa has made me who I am. Shout out to my wonderful and beautiful wife, Kathy Redwine Nesbit, who is Miss AKA.
Big ups.
In the other room, she loves AKA as much as I love Kappa.
Is she a gamma girl?
No, she's not a gamma girl. She got made at University of Colorado.
Okay.
President of the Aurora, Colorado chapter here. So does her thing out here. I always tell her the AKs are after Kappas always, but it doesn't go too well. So
Skio, there you go, whatever they want to say. Right?
Yeah, I mean, if Diggs didn't, we'll get it. Yeah, we'll get into that.
That's and it's I've enjoyed getting to know you brothers. I just met you, as I said, Mills, when I was in Chicago for our founder, our charter day, and I think Tori, we've met before, but obviously,
I was there got to know on campus a little longer. Yeah, you know what I mean, and they ran everybody that came through campus through me, like.
Yeah, I wish I was there to make you young brothers when you were on campus, but oh well.
Well, I'm glad you wasn't.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed the experience or whatever.
Yeah, on the one hand,
I can do without it.
But on the other hand, but I would have. Thank you for the bond, but I would have loved to have experienced that. Your name definitely echoed through Beta. We knew who some of the more diligent servers of what we do were, and your name definitely resonated. And to Tori's point, no, they used to bring them to both of us until the time that I left.
Yes.
Yeah. We showed the older brothers a good time and point them in the right direction.
That greater Beta hospitality is unmatched anywhere.
I know.
So,
man,
people come to town any time of day, they be like, this who you talk to, and then I'll be like, and then it's a party.
Yep.
There's no beta love. Charles said Forbes had R. Lewis as personal wealth of $400 million, but his company's revenues exceeded $2.2 billion. So I think Charlie may think it's Brother Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as personal wealth.
Either way, it's
Right.
a noob. One's a beta noob. So
Right. He said 400,000, not even 400 million. That's crazy.
He's got to mean 400 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
gotta be 400 million.
Charlie's pretty. All right, Charlie. Come on now.
He's got to mean 400 million.
400,000, 400 million. Come on now. That brother is very precise. So
yeah, he is. All right, Noop. So yeah, we definitely appreciate you doing this. I know how valuable your time is. Time is money. So awesome job. Welcome to the Give Back Gang. Silverback, huh, Self?
absolutely to the highest. I already knew it from the second I first encountered him. And Charlie New said 400 million.
He missed a couple zeros.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
It's all right.
Yeah. I knew it too, man, when I met this brother. Yeah, those who know. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we definitely appreciate you, Noop, and appreciate you providing us the bond and paving the way for us as well.
No problem. And I'll say this in closing: no matter how much I'm blessed and successful, I'll never come to a Founders Day or Charter Weekend and leave the dinner early. Yo.
Won't even break bread with the brothers.
or turn the banquet to open as opposed to closed.
I won't bring any women with me either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They turn the banquet from closed to open.
Yeah. And I joined you for the cheap housing.
Exactly.
All right, Noop, we definitely don't kick any guests out. We don't kick any Kappas out, and we definitely don't kick any Greater Beta Noops out. So, show yourself out. And this platform's your platform. If you want to jump back on, let me or Tori know. We'll be more than happy to welcome you back.
All right, Noops. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Animal.
Animal.
Is Brother Nesbit, is he a 3 Club?
Wait. Here.
I think he may be our club.
What? I'm a little ignorant right now. You know how we do during the show.
Ignorant.
What ship is he on?
He's ignorant. He was part of my history.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay,
I think I always want to say, well, he made Brother Daniels, so I'm thinking Tench's line.
ROT, yeah.
Charlie Newman said Newman said he's a 7 Club.
Yeah. I was gonna say he's not. When we ROT, yeah, no way, because we know who that is.
Right.
Infamous and legendary. So
yeah. Well, that was completely magnanimous, man.
I mean, extraordinary. That's like every time we have our brothers on or anyone on, we expand the self-love nation, and it's expansive. This one was exponential.
Yeah, I can't add more to that. Definitely inspirational. He's definitely a high achieving Black man.
Yes.
Has the spirit of the Give Back Gang in his heart.
Yep. High achieving melanated individual.
And he's pro reparations out there.
Well, gotta be. How can you be intelligent and not be? And I'm like, man, how I feel. Like, this was our land. We didn't come from somewhere else. They didn't ship us on boats and all that shit. Well, not my family personally anyway. So I want land, goddammit. I want this land. It's our land. We need that.
Makes you wonder about this land is your land. We need to change that. This land is my land. This land is my land from California.
Yeah, you came and stole it and control it. Say we from somewhere else. This land belongs to me and mine, not me and you.
Killed all the people in the buffalo.
Yeah, they killed
all the buffalo and everything.
They didn't kill us though. They just moved us around and all that. Yeah. Well, you know how it goes. Hey. Even he was Indian.
All right, so if you guys want to reach out to this brother, we pinned his law firm's information into the chat. Go ahead and jump off the porch, get in the game if you're not in the commercial real estate game, because, why not? I mean, if he can do
it,
right, Self? If he can do it, then
legal advice,
then I can do it.
Colorado and Illinois, you better hit him up. You got any lease or agreements you trying to figure out? Man, y'all need to hit him up.
Facts.
It's in the chat, so go ahead and tap that. Go right to the website and get involved.
Get involved. All right. So no one had the class or the dignity, the ability to process information on that simple riddle that I posited. We're going to go ahead and go over it one last time. People make me, save me, change me, raise me. Oh, I think Ace was right. He was using a what do you call it? A metaphor. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But self-love, what's the answer we're looking for out there?
Money.
Yeah. So Ace, I'm going to apologize to you. Your dome is working. Mine wasn't working. So he did say cream, and he's 100% correct, 99% correct. But the answer,
if cream is money in his thing, because cream,
it's money.
People don't raise cream though. You know what I mean? Unless it's money.
Correct. But he's using it as like he could have said cheddar. We would have known what he meant. You know what I'm saying? Like scratch. You know what I mean? I think he was giving us the colored vernacular.
Okay.
I know. I mean, he could have just put money in there and we wouldn't have had to go through this. But I think when he Googled it on the black, Googled it on the black slang Google, went over there on the black web and they told that Mark cream. Big ups to Ace. All right.
Huge ups to Ace.
So big ups.
Great.
All right.
Follow the show.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Great.
And
great.
We
contributor
got some Ace stories. Yeah.
Great contributor to TATN.
Oh, yeah.
Ace is, man. Family.
And probably saved me from getting my face busted years ago. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
That's Ace.
Stepped
you know
in,
what I mean?
bing! I know exactly what you're talking
I had lights out.
Yeah,
lights
exactly what
out.
you was doing your thing and
All
somebody was coming to do something.
Oh, they was coming. They were definitely fella. Definitely coming to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it is what it is. Yeah, so next week we don't have a guest. We are working on a guest for the following week. But next week's topic, self-love, simping or pimping? Eh? Eh?
Uh-oh.
Eh?
Yeah, negative and negative.
Simping or pimping? What do you say about that?
Negative
Big
and negative.
simping, me and the G's.
I'm just saying negative and negative.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. Hey.
I mean, that's a double negative is a positive, though, ain't it?
Well, I mean, it's either one or the other, and they both negative. So, I mean, they're not like, it's not.
Well, that's a good point.
Double positive. And one,
Well,
no, because they're separate.
That's a good point.
And they're equal.
Well, I mean, some may not say, I mean, you know, we're going to definitely break down pimping. It comes in many forms.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So
if you look at the literal definition of it, yes.
The simping come in a whole lot of levels to it. It's, well. It's going to make for a great
So
discussion.
that's what we're breaking down.
Make for a great discussion.
Gun to your head. Would you rather be a simp or a pimp? Gun to your head. You know what I mean? And I know some of y'all got daughters out there. Yeah, gun to your head. So that's next week as we work on landing our next guest. Next week on Mouthpiece Included, it's an open panel where you could pull up. All right. But if you do pull up, what's up?
Better not forget to bring your mouthpiece. Don't forget to bring your mouthpiece.
You're damn right, because you can and you will get wet up.
Oh, wet. You will get all wet.
And we debate on that show, you know, so if anybody still got them, if you still got them out there,
them nuts.
And you want to talk,
you still got nuts, and you know, you can back your opinion. That's the show for you, because it's politics. Well, we make sports with politics. You know how it goes.
Facts. And you better, like you said, bring your mouthpiece. We do debate on that show. And if you come on there and say something out the side of your neck out there, you won't be welcome back on the show until you're willing to come on there and eat what?
Crow. You're going to eat crow.
That's right. You know, we'll pull up the footage of what you said versus what's happening. And we expect you to eat crow, or you're no longer welcome on TATN and or its subsidiaries and on Mouthpiece Included. So that's how that goes. But next week, we're covering the 1969 University of Wyoming, the Black 14 out there, Self.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm unknowledgeable about that. I'm going to do some research.
Yeah, I had heard about it, but then I was reminded of it. That's when those cats, so if they sat down with their pink head coach, it was 14 black players. The team was like undefeated, ranked like 5th. And it's 69, so you know the year, the times. And they told the coach they wanted to, you know, stand for justice, kind of like Kaepernick, And they just wanted to wear a black band on the uniform jersey. The coach cut them off. The coach cut them off, Self, turned all pink, and told them, you won't be doing none of that. In fact, all of you guys are kicked off the team.
Oh, excellent. It's the true measure of these pink people that we're dealing with.
I wish we had the wherewithal one of the black schools, you know, would get those 14 players to say, what? You can lace them up here.
Come on here, let's go and win the NCAA.
Let's win it all. Right. Come to our school. We might have all the facilities, but, you know, we don't have these people here, you know, kicking you off the team, you know, because you're standing for human rights.
I've never heard of this. And, you know, I'm looking forward to researching before the next show. And
you going to pull up out there, Phil?
Well, I mean, I need to know this information. Usually I'm, you know I am offline, and
oh yeah.
By the time, but damn, that's earlier today, so that's
it's 11 a.m. Central.
Yeah, I was driving today at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably will pull up for that if well, not if the information is going to be egregious enough. I probably will pull up.
All right. So that does it for today. Enough of my yapping right here. I'm gonna turn it over to this brother on your left, my right, for my personal favorite part of the whole shebang, and that's wordsmiths. Final words out there.
Wow. Real estate is the real estate. I'm gonna go big and let y'all know how they create evil. Because the real estate is that this is our land. They came across the seas and they didn't understand. We was already here. It's the truth. And we have to let go of the fear. This was a melanated planet. And things changed for some of us. We became them people I guess in God we trust. Because everything happens for a reason in its own season. And these people be teasing us with his story, telling us about events where they were not even involved, not even on the planet. There's not a riddle that can be solved. Just speculation from an alien nation, not part of the God particle. They're not from the essence or the birth, but dictate everything that has happened on the earth? How? When they wasn't here when none of it happened. Gods walk with dinosaurs. The pink people just speculate what happened. And place themselves all the way back to Adam. Tell me, how did that happen? All the oldest depictions of the Virgin Mary and the Christ are the darkest of dark. Not the crap that Michelangelo and Feist. What is Lover? It's documented. Wasn't that undercover? But just know the self-love nation will grow. we doing right by our ancestors. Because a lot of people in our space are whores.
Flesh, pimps, simps.
The Creator's gonna allow us to flourish and break suckers off who are whorish. So I'm like money like every other man, but I'm not going to do shit to hurt the gods. The humans are human, and they gonna do what they've been doing. It's not my responsibility to work with the reality or the chemistry. I'm scientific, prolific with the gift, and I've been given it. So I uplift each and other being that I come in contact.
Healthy people heal that people.
Because hurt people sure will hurt that people. It's not what I'm about. Because the melanated has no equal. Words.
Non-equal. Well said, Brother Wordsmith. There is none equal. We do twice as much, but less than half as much.
We created everything on this planet.
Yeah, we're gonna file a mechanics lien and get some of these attorneys we know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go right in there to the White House. And this is mechanics lien on this property. Because we built that, according to Michelle Obama.
Slaves, so they say. So we got them.
Prisoners of war. Yeah.
I know. I'm saying her words, but
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It means that we got a mechanics lien. We didn't get paid for doing it.
That's right. That is right.
Do you think you are the one?
Yeah. You think you're the one, Self?
No, I'm the one.
You know what that means?
Like Neo and Jet Li.
Means no.
Yahusha. You don't have to take bullets or boomerangs.
Stand your ground.
Murder? That's suicide, man.
Yeah, an eye for an eye.
Silence. That's violence.
Yeah, because if you see something, you're supposed to say something.
Fuck 12. 12. Woo! Slave theory. That's going to be greed and ego and fear. That's slavery.
Facts. Charity plus humility times love is freedom.
Do not, for any reason, under any circumstances, F what you've been told. Do not answer questions.
It's your right. It's your right. But on the other note, any information you get, question everything.
Flesh. Fear is cap. It ain't real.
Absolutely. It's only love, so vibrate it.
Forgiveness is the highest love vibration.
So do something charitable for your enemy.
Yeah, get down there to City Hall and take them all some donuts and Starbucks.
That's
down there.
That's not what we talking about. That's not what we talking about.
That's the enemy.
Street enemy, because them enemies, fuck them.
Hey, I heard that healthy people heal that people.
Man, because we know, and it shows, that hurt people don't hurt people.
Unfortunately so. Free the old man. Free Larry Hoover.
Free Chief Malik Jeff Ford.
Yes, sir. While you at it, free all the guys.
Yeah, man, because prison is slavery. Check the 14th Amendment.
Or the 13th even.
Yeah.
Hey, be like Yahusha. Keep your eyes on him. And you too will walk on H2O.
Yeah, man, just move mountains.
I'm gonna let you in a little secret. Being the one is just like being in love. No one can tell you you're in love, you just know it. Through and through. Balls to bones.
You still got him?
Nuts. All we need is the faith of a mustard seed. And the self-love show got way more than that.
Love yourself, know yourself.